Freaka TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 2.
Hey, I feel amazing.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the GSL Codas. Taste is going to the estate, and we had a pretty amazing day 2 days ago here. 2 Terrans advancing.
Yeah, opening day of Season 2 was quite fantastic. It felt like every single series had, some surprises, some really exciting games. We had interesting builds coming out of Classic, which was very cool to see, but end of the day, 2 Terrans advancing, and it feels a little bit like GSL Season 1.
Yeah, it's funny. So Season 1, we had a massive overrepresentation of Terran, which is funny because that's not normally what happens in GSL. In fact, it was about 10 years since we had any kind of tournament that was that Terran heavy. But last season, a lot of Terrans went deep. A lot of TVTs were casted. And it could be the case here today. But fortunately for Group B, we are going to have 2 Protosses, a Terran, and a Zerg.
Yeah, it's the only group that we have here in the round of 16 with 2 Protosses. So I'm going to get a little bit of a taste of a PvP. I don't know how long it's been since I've casted one of those.
Yeah, it's been a little bit for us.
Always been one of my favorite matchups, though. The way it just kicks into high gear so quickly. So many different ways the game can break off into, and it should be a lot of fun.
I think it's actually the most interesting early game out of all the matchups is PvP. We should point out as well, Hero was eliminated really early on last season. It was one of the big upsets. It was one of the big surprises for us. I was kind of expecting that whole season for the story to really be about a Hero and how is he going to get deep in this and what is he going to do to change the meta. Turned out to not be the case. One of the big surprises for Season 1. So we got to see today here, how is he going to perform, and can he go deep here in Season 2?
Yeah, and on top of that, RagnaroK here qualified for GSL Codas Season 2, was not here in Season 1. So we'll see what splash he can make. Of course, we are back live in the studio. Tickets are open, about $6 US, I think 8,000 Korean won. You can buy them online. Tickets are on sale up until, I think, 1 hour or so until we get into the show. So
yeah, you can buy them online. If you don't, you can just buy them on your phone here in the studio. They got a QR code that you can scan. So I got to say, man, personally, I'm so happy to be back having audiences. For those of you in the studio, welcome. For those of you at home, you can always come down here. Just be sure to purchase a ticket ahead of time. And for this phase of the tournament, we usually don't sell out tickets. So it's not until you get to the finals where things really get packed here. So come down, check it out. It's good to have another year of GSL, with an audience. This is really the way the game is meant to be consumed.
Of course. I mean, having a live audience just really changes the dynamic here in the studio. The players and the players on stage as well. So much fun. And if you want to support the GSL, you can do that either on patreon.com/GSL or at the Freaka TV webpage using Star Balloons. Of course, all that money, all those proceeds go to supporting the prize pool up to $30,000. Anything in excess of that will be carried over to the next season.
That's right. It'll roll over to a future season of GSL. And again, the support is appreciated. We could not do it without you guys. And so we just wrapped up Group A the other day. We're going to be going through Group B here. And remember, it's been a fairly Terran-heavy GSL last season. So I'm really watching to see, okay, are Zergs or Protoss is going to advance. Now, we've got Hero, who I think is probably the best player in the group. Obviously, RagnaroK and ByuN are in very good shape. Nightmare is certainly the underdog here. I would very much so welcome an upset, but I think it's hard to realistically imagine him advancing with the lineup of players that we've got here now.
Yeah, Nightmare is one of those guys that, at least for the past couple of years, is consistently qualifying for GSL Codas. Occasionally we'll see him abroad and competing in ESLs or in IAMs, but as of yet, not really able to find that breakthrough. Maybe this will be his day here in Group B as we get ready to look into match number 1. Of course, PvP to start things out, and Hero disappointing a little bit last season. He was talking a bit in one of his interviews about how he feels like he's a rookie again, coming back here into Season 2 with how quickly he was eliminated last time around. Is I know a lot of fans and also me would love to see him make a deep dive.
Same. I mean, I'm a huge Hero fan as a Protoss player myself. I love seeing what he's going to do, what he's going to try out. This does happen, though, where we have players that perform really well in one season and then they get totally knocked out like right away at the start of the next season. So let's see what he's got in store for us here now. He is going to be going up against Nightmare, so we are going to finally get a PvP. We were mentioning earlier we haven't really casted many PvPs because it was so Terran dominated before. The Nightmare, I like this guy a lot. He's always had a very different approach. You know, a lot of times with these players that are not top tier, they're basically carbon copies of the best players. Like, they're almost as good, but they're just weaker kind of in every little... Like, if they're an RPG character, their stats are all just a little bit lower, but it's basically the same mold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know
if the
what
top
you mean.
players are, you know, as Ryu, these are also just Shoto characters where their fireballs aren't as strong. Nightmare's not like that. He's actually got, I think, you know, his own take on the game. And PvP, in general, it's a really interesting matchup in that it can go in so many different directions. There are so many, in quotes, correct ways to play the game. So you have so many possible weird interactions. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of mind games at play here for sure.
Yeah, one of the things I love about Nightmare is that he's not one-dimensional either. He doesn't try to copy anybody, and he also doesn't stick to just macroing or just all-ins, just cheeses. He can really leave you guessing about what he's going to do. So, you know, maybe today's going to be his day. Maybe he'll have that breakout performance. Or maybe Hero will start again on a Codes rampage that we saw from him last year.
Could be, man. We're going to go to Royal Blood for Game 1, guys. Hero versus Nightmare in a best-of-3 for Group B. Starts now.
2023 GSL Season 2. DKZ Gaming, Hero.
Sorry, I just smacked your arm.
Club
It's all good.
Taking my
Nightmare.
blazer off. That's how the cat starts. Is right when the game begins, I just punch Ryan in the arm. It is so hard working with Tasteless.
Hero going for a gateway on the low ground here, Tasteless. It's something that we usually see on maps in PvP where the natural itself is also a high ground expansion. You know, where you have those tiered bases where the main drops down into the natural that drops down into the rest of the map. But Hero here on Royal Blood actually opting to go for that low ground gateway. Very interesting choice from him. So I gotta say, PvP having not really had the opportunity to cast too much of this matchup of late. I'm not exactly sure where the meta is at right now.
Yeah, well, it always just struck me that PvP, I mean, there's a couple ideas that'll come up, but it's a lot of times trying to play around the meta or play around your opponent's play style early on. So we got two very different openings that have very different ideas at play.
Ooh.
There is a double gate here for Nightmare, and he's making a pylon just north of where Hero is. Now, Hero made his gateway and cybernetics core on the low ground as a sort to form a wall here where his expansion would be, but that can backfire because you can basically rush the infrastructure because it's right there at the entrance.
Yeah, but Hero also with a probe in the main base of Nightmare is counting the pylons and knows that there's only one, which means that somewhere on the map a pylon is proxied with it, almost definitely some tech. So actually out of this gateway, Hero opted to make a Zealot, and I would be surprised if that was the game plan from him from the beginning, but now seeing that probe coming out from the center of the map, that's going to be the tell for Hero to go scout this, and now suddenly Tasteless, this pylon's in jeopardy. That's Stargate, or Gateway, excuse me, only about halfway done.
Yeah, and with the rush over here, he's
Oh,
actually going to make
wow.
a second pylon.
Yeah.
Kind of a funny moment. The two stalkers, and soon to be four stalkers, are going to be rallied down here towards the entrance. We've got a battery being made and a sentry. I'm a little bit worried actually with the sentry being made. I don't know if that's going to be very helpful if he actually gets full on attacked.
Yeah, the sentry is a little bit of an interesting choice, but you know, perhaps it's just Hero trying to choose whatever is the best option given what his macro was at the moment to pump out of that gateway.
Oh,
and
good catch with the probe here. Is he going to make a pylon to block that? No, he can't.
I don't think Nightmare is going to be going for an expansion too quick, is he? I mean, he might be now that he got scattered. Yeah, actually he does.
Yeah.
So despite this being a 3-gate opening here from Nightmare, I was expecting, you know, maybe one round of Stalker Warpins and then the expansion. Instead, he's just going to go for the expand because he probably thinks he's not going to get as much done now that the gateway was scouted.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. He's not going to be, at least it seems like, not too hyper committed to this. He is going to come down with those stalkers and see what damage he can do. He could try to chip away at the gateway or the cybernetic score from a distance.
Draining the shields a little bit there, the energy from that shield battery. Also this gateway Losing a good bit of HP. I wouldn't mind. Oh, 3 Adepts actually coming in. Now, is there anything that clogged the wall here for Hero? High ground. Oh, there's nothing at all. So
Okay.
these Adepts are going to get into the main base. Now, there is a shield battery here in position, but
Yeah, 3 Adepts are just going to one-shot probes.
I mean, 2 Adepts can one-shot probes, so this is going to be a nightmare scenario here for Hero with a lot of probes going down. Losing 3 already. I mean, I guess not as bad as it could be, but keep in mind, Nightmare behind this. He has an expansion going on back at home. These Adepts, as of yet, still alive. One more might be able to get a shade off into the main. No, does get dispatched.
It does feel like a build where Nightmare gets to have his cake and eat it, man.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, he's really doing quite well at this point in time. There are 8 Stalkers out here for him, but it's possible that Hero is going to try to push out. I mean, Immortals beat Stalkers pretty badly, and if you have a Warp Prism you can juggle them with, it's going to be nice. He could also just run around. Yeah, he could just run right into the main and just kill everything that he can get his hands on.
Yeah, he's going to have a recall available back at home, so these Stalkers are going to run all the way up into the main base. 3 sentries warped in by Hero, but a little bit too late. And this pylon in danger, as are these sentries. They're going to have to lift up into that Warp Prism.
Yeah, he's going to go for that Warp Prism. It is shot down. He gets the sentries as well. And I think he'll probably just recall here. Yeah, once he gets close enough over to that that corner. I got to say, I mean, this is a really good game here from Nightmare.
Yeah, what a smart play there by Nightmare. He knows that Hero's in the middle of the map. He knows that Hero wants to push, taking down those pylons and that gateway in the center. And so Nightmare's just like, okay, I'll run by you with all these Stalkers. I'll do what damage I can find. And he gets not only the Warp Prism, but also 3 sentries. So Hero, his follow-up Warp Prism for reinforcements, it's only now finishing. And back at home, he has no expansion. There's no follow-up to this. And I love this as well.
Nicely done. Yeah, that could have been a really good setup. He is going to have more Adepts come here. I think from Hero, you got to try to attack in here, especially when you have the Warp Prism. Just the ability to juggle and micro the Immortals and anything else that's damaged. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, I feel like Hero almost has to go all in from this position.
I agree.
1 base against 2. It looks like he's going to try and come up here into the main base. 2 Immortals dropping on the high ground. Sentries are in the Warp Prism, but he's going to have to be careful to juggle these back down because I mean, the firepower, wow!
Nightmare with a great play there. Just gets that pick. Beautifully done. Yeah, I feel like you should have done this earlier. Okay. Not the cleanest attack, honestly, from Hero here. There is a battery, which basically gives him way more sustain here.
Oh, my goodness! Nightmare with a gateway block there. On the high ground, Adepts cannot get into the main base. And I like the idea there from Hero to just send in all those Adepts, kill the force fields, or kill the sentries, deny any force fields, and now he's going to push back in with only 2 force fields in the bag here for Nightmare. And Hero's going to try to go up the main. That gateway is still under construction, so he will not be able to find a path in. And this is a very awkward angle for Hero to try to fight into, especially with 2 shield batteries. Now, there isn't any overcharge, and that Warp Prism is working overtime on the micro.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. It seems like Hero's just not really able to get that much done. But he may be on at the tipping point over here. We're going to have to see what can be microed here with the Warp Prism. There's still an Immortal in the bag.
Yeah, the arc here for Hero has been superior for the majority of this fight, and especially Nightmare with his Warp Prism a little bit late to the party has made control quite difficult for him. But now with Hero's army slowly running out of steam, I mean, only 1 Immortal left and 1 Stalker in that Prism, you got to think that at this point, the rush might be almost over, and so what's the fallback plan going to be here for Hero?
Yeah, I mean, Hero doesn't even have a second Nexus, so the worker count's even, but you know, that is a very big difference. So he's not giving up. He's going to make that Nexus now. We've got the shield battery recharging everything, another Immortal being made, but Nightmare is going to go into what we'd call the mid-game for PvP in a very comfortable position.
Absolutely, and if I'm Nightmare in this position, and I confirm the scout that Hero's going for this expansion, or I recognize that the rush is over, I'm probably moving across the map because keep in mind, that Cybernetics core for Hero, very exposed there at the front of the natural expansion, as is the gateway. When these armies get large, it's very difficult to actually maneuver defensively there as Hero to protect that wall, so a lot of potential for damage to be found. Both players now with 2 Immortals and a Warp Prism of their own.
I don't know how easy this is going to be for Nightmare. Even though I think he's in a very good spot, because I think Hero is very crafty in moments like this, especially with the Warp Prism harass and the Immortals. You can pick off a couple of workers and even things out pretty nicely.
Yeah. A couple nice kills there by Hero, getting some good picks, denying some mining, and now Nightmare. Chance of his own to get some damage done on Hero's side of the map. Oh, wow.
My God. That was 2 Immortals and a Warp Prism that go down.
Yeah, that is not
I mean,
Not
that
how
is-
it's supposed to go.
That's the most valuable thing you can have at this point in time in the game is the 2 Immortals and the Warp Prism. So I think that could be the nail in the coffin here for Hero. I think that we are going to watch him actually advance now. He can loop around with the Immortals. I guess he wants to try to get a little bit more harassed while he's still in this position, but no doubt he is going to then have this merge up with the Stalkers that are inbound over here in the front.
Yeah, and I feel like for Hero, there's going to be almost no answer to this push coming out of Nightmare. Not only is his economy better, his army supply over 50% higher. This wall is going to fall. That Cybernetics core is going to have to get rebuilt. And for Hero, the tech of choice right now, it's going to be charged, but it's only just now begun. There are only 2 Zealots on the field.
Without the Cybernetics core, I mean, what are you going to do, make slow Zealots to fight this? I mean, you're in really bad shape. GG! Nightmare takes game 1, and honestly, a thrashing on Hero.
Yeah, that was a sick build out of Nightmare, and great judgment call there too. You know, the third gateway gets scouted in the middle of the map. He doesn't overcommit. He throws down a Nexus and then does some light pressure. And from that position, Hero felt like he had to use his tech advantage going for the faster Robo to make something happen. And Nightmare, although the defense was a little bit finicky at times, he was able to pull it through. Comes out with a win.
Yeah. It's very exciting and also a very bad sign here for Hero. This could just be a bad year for Hero, man. You know, GSL Season 1, it seemed like a fluke. That's kind of what happens when you see somebody who plays that well and then they don't have a good season. But it could actually just be a new reality that Hero's not able to tread water next to these other players. And to lose to Nightmare of all players, that's a pretty big shock. Obviously, it's a best of 3. We're not done yet, but Nightmare really crushed there. He was able to put pressure on, know when to quit, and then also held off that Warp Prism harass. Beautifully done.
All right, let's get ready to go to Ancient Cistern for map number 2.
This Cistern is so old.
Very old, tasteless.
It's been here for a very long period of time.
It's a new map, but it's an old Cistern.
Yes.
DKZ Gaming, Hero.
I feel like we had this conversation last season, but I can't remember. Do we ever go over what a Cistern actually is? Because I think we looked it up.
I don't know what a Cistern is.
It was like a doc report or something, wasn't
Club
it?
NV, Nightmare.
I literally don't know. I'm like not smart enough to catch this game.
I think we literally
It's a
had
tank
this exact
for storing water, especially one supplying taps, or as part of a flushing toilet.
So I was just totally off base.
Yeah.
I thought it was a dock.
Well,
Wait, so it could be a part of a toilet.
Yeah, they flush the loser in the toilet when they're done using that ancient cistern, man. Yeah, I had no idea. Now, what do we have here? 2 gases being made. Keep in mind, Hero made his gateway and core on the low ground. Last time, both players are making it on the high ground. And it's actually, so far, completely mirrored. There's 2 gateways coming on either side.
Yeah, even the probe scouts are mirrored, and this is about as standard as it gets in a PvP with a low ground expansion like this one. So, real deviation probably going to come in after the Cybernetics core. We'll have to see whether Nightmare and Hero off to make the same units. And, ooh, actually, it's a nice catch by Nightmare. Hero with a bit of a blunder there. Flew too close to the sun with that probe in the mineral line. Got surrounded, and not having a scouting probe in your opponent's base at this stage in the game is critical because you got to think about how long it really takes you to shoo away that probe. You have to finish the Cybernetics core, and then you have to build either an Adept or a Stalker, and only then is that probe in danger. Only then does it really need to get out. So there's a large window where you can't properly tech in your own base without your opponent knowing about it, but now Hero with no probe, his opponent's base. We'll see if Nightmare tries to leverage that advantage and throw down a fast tech or a fast expansion, because Hero has to just kind of play in the dark.
So, one thing about PvP, Protoss is the race that has the most different directions they can go right away, because after you make a Cybernetics core, all the tech kind of shows itself for Protoss. And that's why PvP, like you were talking about that scouting probe state, it's so important to have an idea of what's going on, right? Because if you don't, there's so many possible things that can happen. There's no way to play against all of them.
Yeah, so Nightmare, the choice is going to be, I think, a 2-sentry expand.
Yeah.
Or maybe a 1-sentry expand here with that Nexus on the low ground. Hero He would have loved to throw down that Nexus. Actually didn't catch the pylon
Dude,
block
I
there
actually
by
don't.
Nightmare.
Same thing. I was like, that's weird. He made 2 pylons out there.
Yeah.
No, that was actually Nightmare's pylon. This is already a good start here for Nightmare.
Yeah, fantastic start here for Nightmare. He sacks the probe to get the pylon down, but absolutely worth it as Hero had 400 minerals to build that Nexus before that probe had even died, really. So that expansion delayed by maybe half a minute. Hero feels like he has to make something happen now with these extra minerals, so he's going to pump out 2 more Adepts, build a pylon outside of Nightmare's base, and on the field, only 2 Adepts and 1 Sentry here for Nightmare, so he has to be very careful in his defense here, because if those Shades get into the main base or get a surround on the Sentry, it will not be a favorable trade for him.
Okay, he's going to get right in here.
I'm actually surprised the battery got canceled there for Nightmare, as these Adepts now are going to get to the main base and pick up some kills. I mean, 3 probes going down, a 4th one here at the natural, and 2 Adepts get out alive. That is a nice trade.
This is a very substantial lead right now for Hero. Hero looking in for maybe a round 2. You know, he could, if he wanted to, commit down a couple more probes. I think he's decided he's done enough damage. He doesn't want to overextend.
He might be able to come back in, though. There's no probe guarding the ramp again, and that Sentry, at least if Hero had chosen to commit, would have been dead. But I guess the Adept count being as high as it is, Hero a little bit tentative on committing. Nightmare.
Ooh, nice snipe on the Sentry. This is actually...
Oh, he's going.
He's in again!
Hey, Hero pushing up the ramp, able to hit both these Adepts. One of them even as they're warping in and taking a little bit extra damage. And now coming into the main base, he does scout the Oracle. There are 2 on the field right now for Nightmare. And oh, actually a nice catch by Nightmare. Well done, shading down here into the low ground. He's going to pick off all of these Adepts.
You got to wonder if there's going to be some counterplay here now.
Yeah.
I mean, what is actually back at home? He's got 2 Stalkers and a battery. He's got a probe ready to try to plug up the entrance.
Especially with 2 Oracles like this, you got to think that some pressure is going to be levied by Nightmare here, but as it is, I mean, as workers go, 31-33, about as even as it gets here, considering both players went for these fast expansions. And now with Hero already researching Blink and Nightmare just throwing down that Twilight Council, Nightmare has a bit more tempo, or Hero has a bit more tempo, excuse me, in tech.
Yeah, Hero looking to be in pretty good shape right now. He is going to warp in another gateway, so he's going to try to do another push coming up here. I think he's decided that perhaps Nightmare is a little bit too squishy back at home and he can just be finished off.
Well, Nightmare actually shading in right here with these 2 Oracles. Thought he can get something done, but the Stalker count a little bit too high for that. As he kills only 2 probes and then retreats back out. Blink about halfway done, and the tech of choice for Nightmare is going to be Dark Shrine.
Oh, wow.
No detection as of yet here for Hero. So Nightmare actually sending these Adepts shading into the main base. Not only was he going to sacrifice those, which are not going to be useful at all against Blink Stalkers for probes, but also gets a little bit more confirmation that, you know, Hero might really not have any detection back at home right now, because I don't even think there's a Robo on the field for him.
I think you're right. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Looks like Blink is done, so he can start to put some pressure on. Unlike the previous game, we don't have any Immortals or Warp Prisms in play here, so the dynamics are very different from Game 1. He's got a lot of Stalkers out there. The Dark Shrine is finishing right now, but, you know, the Stalkers can do a lot of damage. He can blink right up here into the main.
Oh, he doesn't see! He doesn't see the trap! That Stasis Trap getting so many Stalkers now, and Hero's going to have to retreat, so this is going to buy Nightmare a lot of time, and keep in mind, with that Dark Shrine about to finish up,
yeah, I mean, this is going to be a lot coming right in here. Hero might just get 2-0'd.
Yeah, the window is closing here for Hero. He's going to come back into the main base and try and fight with a Stasis.
Yeah, I think he's going to blink into it with everything. Yeah, he's going to try to overpower him here. But I think there's enough Stalkers for Nightmare. Well, hold on, this angle's pretty awful, to be totally honest.
Yeah, the arc for Hero definitely better, as no DTs actually have been warped in just yet. The Dark Shrine now is done. Hero, I'm not sure whether he actually has vision of it. First DT's warping in here into the main base. Gateways are empowered, Stalker count's relatively even, but now that DT doing so much damage. I'm just watching the production tab, waiting for Hero to throw down a robotics facility. Finally does get started.
I mean, this is very scary, but the key damage hasn't been done yet. And with the DT coming, I mean, he could end up killing every single probe. Is there any detection at all?
The Robo's about a third of the way done. Back at Hero's base right now, and with these Oracles and Link Stalkers, Nightmare will be able to defend. And Hero's already down 10 workers.
And, you know, he could actually seesaw this all the way back home.
I think Hero could even push off of this if he wanted to. He has the higher stalker count, but he's going to do the safe thing, build a third expansion. He knows that he's done a lot of economic damage for Hero. He knows that he's defended a heavily committed attack.
Watching this battery get healed, or the pylon get healed with the battery. This
after
mutual relationship, if you die, I'm unpowered. Like,
also, after such a hype moment to go to a Dark Shrine just wailing, or a DT just wailing on a pylon getting healed.
A lot of lost mining time here, too, by the way.
Yeah. Things are looking very good for Nightmare right now. At the end of it, Nightmare, I think 16 stalkers to the 11 for Hero, so he has an advantage in that regard. This third base now almost fully saturated. There really isn't any advantage that Hero has on the field besides having an observer, which is not really an advantage at all here in this situation of PvP.
Yeah. So, I mean, from here, it's kind of hard to even imagine how exactly Hero's going to try to engineer a comeback. He is going to go for his own DTs. Sometimes that is one of the best ways is to counter when you get DT'd is to make your own DTs.
Yeah, the detection right now for Nightmare is just those Oracles who are throwing down a lot of stasis wards. And maybe if he's able to catch Nightmare unprepared and send, a DT into the main base, the natural, and the third at the same time, he can find some damage, but it's a bit of a Hail Mary here for Hero. I think he recognizes his situation is not a good one, and he has to make some high-risk play to come back. We'll see what the DTs are able to get done, but the
Dude,
stalker
it's so
count,
many stalkers, man.
Yeah, it's insane.
It looks
28 to 11 right now for Nightmare.
It looked like a dagger moving through the map.
It's gonna
stab Hero.
Stab Hero right in the heart.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the exact counts, but there should be way more here for, 28 to 11. Oh my God.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think Nightmare needs to actually appreciate where he's at right now in this game. I think he could actually kill him, like outright. But I get it. I mean, look, this is already a huge upset, right? I mean, if Nightmare 2-0's Hero, it's like, I don't even know what's going on right now.
Yeah, and he's on 3 bases against 2, so why attack into the 2-base player?
Well,
and oh my goodness, he also catches the DTs immediately. And look at the supplies, 133 to 76, almost doubling Hero right now. Hero
GG.
now.
That's it.
Wow. Nightmare with a 2-0 victory in match number 1. An upset already here with Hero getting knocked down into the elimination match.
Nightmare, more like good dream. Am I doing it right?
You were saving that one for a while, man.
It just hit me right there.
That's why they pay you the big bucks tasteless.
That's right.
If no one can do what you can do.
I mean, I gotta say, I can't believe he owned Hero.
Yeah, that was sick.
Like, both games, like every decision he made was just honestly better. He was on top of it. I even respect that he didn't try to finish him. He's like, no, I'm just gonna keep getting further ahead here.
That was smart. You could see that Hero, at least during the engagements when he wasn't dealt the best hand, his micro did shine a little bit brighter than his opponents there, but not able to pull up the win. And we're going to go to a break. When we get back, Group B, Match 2, RagnaroK versus ByuN. We'll see you in a minute.
Loading, strap with the lyrics like I'm bowling. Keep pushing on, keep rolling. And I wanna listen, but I told him one more time. Your favorite MCs, bronze or silver. These raps here are golden. Cards on the table, there's no folders. Spit bars at the club, zoning. TikTok come to London, get ripped off. Man, get pissed off when I start lift off. Sweet like flavors, cookie and biscuit. Planted, yeah, the bars I get ripped off. Picked up my song, yo, every time I tripped up. Little petty tender, the big rock. Me and my G's do everything mix up. Full circle, now everybody linked up. That's irrelevant, memory like an elephant. Keep your heart, but you know that it's elegant. Get mad, but always benevolent. Always moving up, just leveling. Constantly telling them rhyming, riddling. Cycle through these streets, I'm pedaling. Hibernating and boom, she's back again. Oh, cause a little fire on the track again. Turn the music up, vibe like an icon. Yeah, if you want buff, we can go psycho. Head to head, bar to bar, turn the mic on. Turn the music up, vibe like an icon. Yeah, I don't mind, I'll do it for the hell of it, yeah. Elevate bars, I regulate, yeah. UK, wheel up the tune, just meditate. If he didn't get it by 9, then you're kinda late. Man thinks he's a bad man, but he's kinda bait. Live every day like it's my last celebrate. Mind on the task, we calibrate. Loaded, strike with the lyrics like I'm bowling. Keep pushing on, keep rolling. Didn't wanna listen, but I told him. One more time, your favorite MC's bronze or silver. Too bad these vibes here are golden. Cards on the table, there's no folding. Spit bars that I can't zone in. That's irrelevant, make me like an elephant. Keep it hard, but you know that it's elegant. Get mad, but always benevolent. Always moving, not just the villain.
Catch the vibe, I'm one of a kind. Give me the lights, and I do it every time. You need a wave, I come and save the day. Don't hesitate if you need that getaway. You got the vibe, baby. Let's take a ride, baby. It's nothing new, this every day and every night, baby. Driving fast cars, living like a rock star. You know what I wanna do, baby. This a rendezvous. I can give you what you really need. Take you anywhere you wanna be. You know it's true. You know what I wanna do, baby. We can rendezvous. I know you see it. I know you like that. I'm at the place you should be at. Baby, let's rendezvous. You can really tell I got a thing for you. Yeah.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
너도 탐세봐 탐세로.
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성사이다 제로. 여름이 왔다. 마음껏 청량하자. 청량한 순간에 언제나 칠성사이다.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
Round of 16, Group B. Hero, Nightmare, RagnaroK, ByuN. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 2.
Pull up to the Pentagon swinging. That's all heat that I'm bringing.
Welcome back, everybody. RagnaroK versus ByuN is coming up next. But let's talk about what we just saw happen, because I'm still not over it, man. I mean, the fact that Nightmare 2-0's Hero, I thought out of all of the starting matches for all of the groups for the round of 16 for Season 2 of the GSL, this was the most obvious one, that Hero would 2-0 Nightmare in an unremarkable fashion.
Yeah,
Not the case at all.
It was a big upset there for Nightmare, man. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a guy that for a very long time has been struggling to really get past anything really more than round of 16 in the GSL. He's made a lot of Code S's. He's still doing it, even now that Code S is way more intense than it used to be, since we're starting with a smaller player pool. And then to come out and beat Hero in his first match of Season 2, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, it is wild, man. You know, everybody is improving, and that includes Nightmare. And let me tell you something. He's definitely got the PvP matchup out of the way, okay? We don't have a lot of Protosses, but you beat Hero, you can beat anybody. Up next, I've got one that I've personally been very excited about with ByuN versus RagnaroK. I don't know who's going to take this at all.
Yeah, I would probably give the edge to ByuN, just how well that he's been playing as of late. But for RagnaroK, he really has something to prove here after not qualifying for GSL Code S Season 1. And I think probably the biggest upset overall of that season. I mean, many people were saying, Innovation qualified, and that was a surprise. But where is RagnaroK, right? I mean, he got second place in the previous Code S, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What's going on there? And then it took him a long time to actually get back into the Code S. It's already July. This is his first Code S appearance here in 2023, so I'm curious to see, what he's cooked up, what he has prepared here for Group B, what he has in store for us, because both of them laughing, I guess, something pretty funny going around in the chat. But I'm curious to see where he's at, because at the end of 2022, he looked so strong.
All right, man, let's find out. RagnaroK versus ByuN starts now, and the winner goes up against
2023 GSL Season 2.
Look at that studio. God, it's so much better that we have this in the studio and it's not in that green room.
Mystery Gaming, RagnaroK. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
Getting flashbacks to Season 1 with ByuN going 2 barracks on the low ground every single TBZ. Do you remember that from the first group stage?
I was wondering about that. Well, we might actually have it. Let's see what this, yep, there it is.
I remember in the interview, ByuN was saying, after I think it was after he won and he had advanced to the tournament, they asked him about this 2 racks opening. He's like, yeah, this is really good. I think it's going to be meta. You're going to be seeing this all tournament long. And then, no one else really did it. It was mostly just ByuN.
Micro Jackson, I love this sign.
Micro Jackson.
That's an old meme. Some RagnaroK support here in the audience. Gotta respect RagnaroK for how long he's been grinding.
Absolutely. He keeps getting better, too. Just like Nightmare, I mean, nobody really expected him to get top 2 and look like the best Zerg in Korea at the end of 2022, right?
Yeah. Excuse me.
It is interesting to see ByuN going back to this, even the next season of GSL Code S. I mean, I guess he really has this ironed out.
Well, this is clearly his, a very unique take on the matchup. And it's funny because, yeah, it was a question of oh, is this what everybody does? No, this is what ByuN does. So he sends the Reapers out. And, normally a Reaper pressure doesn't do anything. It's kind of frankly, it's one of the most boring parts of a StarCraft game. But because he has 2 racks, the rate at which the Reapers come out can be troublesome for the Zerg and does allow for a pretty interesting early game.
Yeah, a lot of lanes are going to be forced out here. 2 pairs already. Queen popping at the natural expansion. And once that, wait, is it actually only going to be 2 Reapers here for ByuN? I was expecting to see more. But I suppose with a high ground natural like we have here on Babylon, 2 might just be the play.
Oh!
Scary.
Yeah, that was close. So that should be it for the Reapers. Didn't get too much done there. But, the Zerg is kept under control. You are forcing out, these reactions from the Zerg. And, because of the way the build is, he already has a wall into his entrance. He can use the Reapers to kind of control that part of the map while he makes that command center down there and gets his add-ons up.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I was surprised to see this build specifically used here on Babylon with the high ground natural, because it is a lot easier to actually control with high ground vision through the fog of war as RagnaroK. I mean, 2 Reapers aren't going to be able to get much done. Even if ByuN had invested in a 3rd or a 4th Reaper, unlikely to find any more damage, but ByuN, he's comfortable with it. And back at home, he should be able to power up quite quickly now with both add-ons on the barracks. He's pumping out reactor Marines out of one of them, getting Stimpack on the other while he techs up. This could lead to a strong mid-game push that we have seen work for ByuN in surprisingly strong fashion from Season 1.
Yeah.
I remember there were multiple games where we casted him. He would just move across the map when the first 2 medevacs are out and just have a little bit more bio than any other Terran would at that moment, and some Zergs just straight up died to it.
So we've got that hatchery on the way here. The build coming out from ByuN right now, pretty normal. I mean, he's just teching up, getting that infantry. You know, the eBay is about to wrap up here. We've got a minimal number of roaches that are going to be made here. We'll see if RagnaroK commits to making any more or not. But yeah, this is going to size up to be a pretty interesting TVZ.
The interesting choice that I'm captivated the most here by ByuN is that he's opting to go for a Banshee here as opposed to medevacs. I really thought this was going to be, you know, 2 full medevacs of Marines pushing across the map, trying to pressure the third base and control the creep, but instead Banshee the selection. Now I think rotating add-ons on those buildings. Just something a little bit different here in Season 2.
Yeah. Now, you know, obviously we're a ways away from this actually happening, but I do want to point out a lot of TVZs tend to prove the matchup is actually, this is the longest of all the possible matchups. It does seem like Zergs over the last several years have become very good at staying resilient, at not being toppled. Historically, even going back like before Brood War with like StarCraft Vanilla, the matchup always functioned in TVZ is the Terran has to end the Zerg. The Zerg is really just trying to grow and get to a pace that's out of control, and so it's a matter of can the Terran stop it or not. Well, hold that thought. We've got a whole bunch of roaches coming here. I'll expand more on that in a second. But he stims, he comes right in. The medevacs are going to come out and just completely shut this down. I was a little confused as to what I was seeing at that moment. I've seen RagnaroK do these unusual roach timings, but that almost seemed like an anti-timing.
Yeah, that was relatively low drone count. I think it might have been maybe 44 that he cut out, and he pumped out all of these roaches. And I think maybe the one player in the world you don't want to do this build against is ByuN, because he just seems to have more Marines than anybody else in the early stages of the games. Because notice that timing hit even before the siege tank had come down to the low ground, and still just the stim Marines were able to repel it quite easily there. As now ByuN coming in for a little bit of damage of his own. 2 medevac drop will try to pick off a queen, but roaches are quick to intercept. Marines will piece out of there.
So he's just going to drop out over here, unload, and try to take on this Overlord. Probably just keep roaming around the map. What I was talking about a second ago before that weird roach attack happened is that you know, TVZ a lot of times it does seem to come down you know, to one of the last few bases that's left on the map. We can have some extremely long and dramatic TVZs, and you know, this game could certainly be one of them.
Yeah, we'll see if it goes that way. At least for ByuN and RagnaroK stylistically, I think, you know, the two of them probably make for the most unlikely scenario that we will reach that, you know, end game split map thing. Both of these guys love to be aggressive in the mid game. RagnaroK, especially with his roaches, his lings, his ravagers, not just in ZVT but in ZVP as well. And ByuN is just a killer, man. I mean, we've seen games where he will 2-base through like 15+ minutes trying to kill the Zerg, and it will work because he's just got that in his blood, right? So I don't think these guys are either going to, I don't think either of these guys are going to try and win in that supreme late game.
That's more of like a Maru Rogue game.
Yeah, or maybe a Maru Dark game, perhaps.
So we've got the Banshee wrapping around over here. Gonna try to get a little bit more damage. A couple little pokes and prods over here. Roach Ravager is a tech that's been elected here for RagnaroK. That is a tech composition that lets you max out way faster than any other composition basically in the game, which also means you're probably going to see the Zerg attack the Terran a lot sooner because of that.
Especially with this creep spread almost all the way at ByuN's third base. RagnaroK has been on top of that during all this harassment for the Banshee and the double medevac drop. Not letting his foot off the gas pedal in terms of creep, and now that he's approaching max, I mean, just one more round of Roach and Ravager production, he will be there. Expect to see him get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, a little bit of a swipe over here for ByuN. He's just basically trying to be as active as he can on the map. It looks like he's going to come back over to this point in time. Again, the supply continuing to ramp up here. Are we going to see RagnaroK try to attack in over here now?
It looks like he might be gearing up for it behind it, going for Hive Tech. ByuN, meanwhile, throwing down his second factory, getting vehicle weapons, +2 infantry weapons and armor, throwing in some sensor powers as well. As I think he can kind of sense, based on RagnaroK's unit composition, that aggression is coming. And that's what these Marines in the middle of the map are doing, is they're keeping the creep spread back. They're keeping at least some small probing force forward so that ByuN will have more time to reposition his army and react should he need to a large attack. And now that he has a sensor tower here at the third base, look to see him get a little bit more confident moving across the map and being comfortable knowing exactly where RagnaroK's positioned at.
Okay, he looks like he's going to come out. This is kind of a funny moment because we were just talking about how the Zerg's going to be the first to attack. But here it is, actually, ByuN, right as Zerg's going to max out. He's the one pushing on the map here. We've got a lot of Banes getting set up. This could be a little dicey here for ByuN. I mean, he's got some of the best control that we've ever seen in StarCraft 2, but when you have this many Banelings coming in, it can be tough.
Yeah, looking at the mini-map, RagnaroK is setting up about a 180-degree surround on this with units all the way down to the lower third base. And so ByuN, he's consolidating here at the top side. That's a lot of Marines, so he is able to focus down a number of Banelings here right from the get-go. RagnaroK actually not committing to go in with a flank on the rear, I guess, afraid of that high tank count. And for now, RagnaroK will be able to push him back. But man, ByuN killed a lot of Banelings there.
That was a shocking amount of kills there. Not just on the eggs that were morphing, or the Banelings that were morphing, whatever you want to call it, but also just sniping the Banes before they could touch. Perfect control, and he can kill this. He might even try to pick up. No, I thought he might try to go up into the main. But yeah, he's going to kill that hatchery, no problem at all.
And this tank count very healthy here. This would be a hard position for RagnaroK to breach, and he actually decides he's just going to vacate this base. ByuN with a lot of power.
It almost like doesn't make sense. It's like he attacks right as Zerg's maxed out. All these Banes are finishing, and then we're watching ByuN just overpower him. Zerg is back on a 3 bases. There is a 4th being made way in the bottom left, but it's not done yet. Oh, I think it might have just finished, actually. But, I mean, basically ByuN came in there, knocked off 2 bases, and really didn't lose anything.
No,
that's
he just
crazy.
Shed off a couple of Marines, but he's more than happy to do that and trade out with Banelings, with expansions, with drones. And now coming in the main base, he will confirm the high tech is out. Sees adrenal glands researching on the spawning pool as well. And now we'll see if we can find an angle here in the middle of the map. Now, keep in mind, Vipers are on the field, so a lot of good blinding clouds coming down on these siege tanks. That's going to take a lot of the oomph out of the army here for ByuN, as RagnaroK finally will get a win in terms of engagements. But the economic damage really showing what it's done, because you would think after a fight like that, RagnaroK is going to be way up in supply over ByuN, but it's only about 20 supply in total. And keep in mind, most of his army is Roach and Ravager, right? So this is still looking really good for ByuN despite losing that skirmish.
Yeah, he's going to pick up and back out. I mean, ByuN is looking just stellar, man. I mean, he's looking untouchable. We know that, you know, Zerg is in recovery mode right now, trying to rebuild the economy, the engine that he had before, but we know that as those hatcheries finish, that ByuN's going to come out and attack once more.
Yeah, and for ByuN, I think now you want to wait until you get closer and closer to max, because you know that RagnaroK has Vipers out on the field. You know that he soon will have adrenal glands, so those Marines will get increasingly dangerous. Also scouting the Ultralisk Cavern, getting thrown down here in the main base is 11 HP on that medevac. Has to evacuate the main base here. And ByuN now, he's setting his eyes on controlling the creep on the southern portion of the map, which makes me think that he's going to do exactly as you said and start pivoting his army towards those bottom left bases.
Well, he's doing a great job at basically keeping Zerg only in the very far left file, if I could even call it that, on the map. Anything that's like an expansion to the right of that is not safe territory. And now we're seeing ByuN reach down into this bottom left area. This should be harder to push than what we saw earlier, but he might just make it work.
And the creep spread that was so healthy just a few minutes ago has been all but completely cleaned up across the middle of the map. So RagnaroK losing a ton of map control, losing vision, losing mobility with his army. He's going to try and fight back now with these Vipers coming in on the flank, but the Marines should be able to pick a lot of them off. Blinding Cloud's only really connecting with 2 siege tanks right here in the back line, and so ByuN's like, okay, I will take that trade. I'll kill those 2 Vipers, and now you're off creep. So it's a lot easier to micro, but RagnaroK, he's rallying in a bunch here, Tasteless.
Nice siege tank shots there. Saves the day. He saves the base. He's going to have to be forced away. And another unload over here. I don't see any roach. Oh, sorry, never mind. There's roaches coming up here from the bottom. But again, I mean, he's just continuously generating threats. We do have that base that was destroyed earlier. It's been retaken. But it looks like ByuN's back out on the move again.
Yeah, ByuN really wants to keep the pressure up on the bottom left side, and now caught a little bit out of position here is ByuN. With RagnaroK moving up the natural expansion, there is a siege tank rally that will siege up, but supply depot down means that RagnaroK can actually breach this position, and so ByuN, he's going to pull his forces back from the bottom left, going to try and reinforce this and shoo RagnaroK away, and RagnaroK, at least what he's doing right now is buying some time. But I'm concerned about his supply right now, Tasteless. Only at 154, and he loses the hive in the main base. Oh my goodness.
That's wild. Because, you know, all those buildings are very snipeable.
Yeah.
There's really nothing that compares in StarCraft to losing the hive.
It's crazy.
It's such a reset. It takes so long to get back to that. Now he still has the hive, well, whatever hive tech he's built, but you know, we're at a point in the game where that might actually be why he loses.
It's possible. I mean, Vipers are pretty much out of the question until this natural expansion here for RagnaroK tech's all the way back up. So he's going to have to make do with what he's got, and sitting at 156 supply and also being as gas-starved as he is, it's not going to be easy to tech all the way back up.
He's going to be pushing down here in the bottom, and I mean, what, it's just like a small number of Banes. I don't even know if Zerg can actually defend this.
The army supplies are surprisingly even, but the force here for Terran just seems so strong, especially considering Creep has been completely eliminated from this portion of the map.
And the tank spread is so good. Like, it's so hard. I mean, you're just going to be dropping stuff over and over. Nice blinding clouds. I like that.
But the blinding cloud's very good, disabling a lot of these siege tanks. Two in the backline are still doing good damage, though, and I mean, the adupts are coming through, but there's not too much here for RagnaroK to actually clean them up. One of those tanks even surviving, because I feel like ByuN has weathered this storm well enough to carry this one to a victory soon, Tasteless. I mean, this bottom left base is going to fall, and then really, what does RagnaroK have left?
Yeah, that's it, GG. ByuN takes game one in a commanding fashion. I got to say, man, I was so impressed with that push that ByuN did. It's like he pushed at like 160 supply right when Zerg was at 200.
Yeah.
Against Roach Raptor, I'm like, well, that can't be it, right? I mean, when Zerg has literally the maximum of whatever they can have and you don't, that's when you attack. But he did it. He made it work. He killed off 2 bases and played the upper hand from there pretty well.
And he played the terrain of the map perfectly there, just keeping the siege tanks protected, putting them in the optimal position to repel the forces of RagnaroK. And although RagnaroK was maxed, he was not yet hive. So there were no Vipers out on the field. I think that's why ByuN went for that timing. He didn't want blinding clouds to take away the strength of his siege tank heavy force, and was able to eliminate 2 bases because of it.
So we are going to go into game 2. I got to say, ByuN looking so strong. RagnaroK definitely frustrated with the way that game went. Didn't seem like there was a moment that ByuN was ever going to let up. I mean, let's see what happens. Again, RagnaroK has had an incredible run in 2022, but here in 2023, it does seem like the landscape of who's on top is shifting very quickly. And ByuN does seem to be one of these Terrans that's got that hunger. He's got that execution. He's got a very developed and modern and original style that he's using as well to start with the double Raxes right at the entrance here to generate some Reaper pressure. Sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes it's like game 1 where it's really not that much at all. He dials it back right away. And he's able to carry that all the way to perfect late game and win in a classic Terran push fashion.
All right, ByuN only 1 map win away from going to that winner's match.
GSL Season 2.
Versus Nightmare, by the way. Yeah, still can't. Look, let's make a play hero, actually. That just makes more sense.
Mystery Gaming, RagnaroK. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
All right. Getting into this game, we've got really all right,
gas
gonna get
first.
Gas.
I was like waiting for him to cancel it and like queue up another drone.
No.
It's like, wait, we're really doing this?
So that's when you see like a weird opening. You're like, wait a minute, is something actually happening here?
Yeah, gas pool before expand here for RagnaroK. So we have seen people try to bust down ByuN before with all-ins.
It didn't work last time,
and it
right?
did not work.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we'll see. It seems like that is going to be the game plan here for RagnaroK in map number 2. And ByuN is very predictable. Going for this wall-in on the low ground is just his control is one of the best in the world, if not the best here with Terran. So it's a scary proposition to lay it on the line here on match point.
Yeah, this is, well, I mean, let's just see what happens, I guess, right? You know, one thing that's also worth noting is that the Reaper's kind of the ideal unit to be rushed with if it's like Lings or Banes or anything, but it is going to be Ling speed, so.
Staying on gas as well.
Yeah.
I guess RagnaroK's going to go for it.
Is he going to do like a fruit dealer, like Baneling bust? Like, get in there, like what is happening right now?
13 years later, we're going to come full circle here.
He really was ahead of his time.
Another era where Terran is dominating.
Yeah.
Okay, Roach Warren getting thrown down here by RagnaroK.
So it's going to be Speedlings and Roaches.
Yeah, and at least for ByuN, I mean, one thing that favors RagnaroK here is that ByuN spawning here on the bottom side, those tech labs and the reactors going to be a little bit more exposed, but with an army force like ByuN is going to have back at home, keep in mind, he pumps these units out so quickly, also going for the 3rd barracks as well. So this is almost a best case scenario here for ByuN in terms of unit selection choice against what RagnaroK is going to be throwing at him, and we have to wait and see how this is going to shake out, but just considering the way that the defense worked for ByuN in Season 1, I'm very concerned about RagnaroK's chances here.
Well, one thing we got to point out, and that's just a feature of being spawn. You start out in the bottom left. You have a bottom left spawn location. The add-ons for the barracks are sticking out.
Yeah.
And so they can be attacked and they can be killed, which means upgrades can be stopped. Add-ons can be destroyed, which means some units can be, like, you could be making 2 Marines, now you're making 1. And that is huge. So we got to watch for that. He's getting the Ravagers. He'll make a couple more. He's basically making them as they're en route.
Yeah, and ByuN has a very good idea that this is coming. Those Reapers did their job scouting for it.
Now, also note that you can't repair that add-on out there.
No.
So, like, Stim is probably just not going to get done. Stim, basically the most important upgrade in the game, is not going to finish off here.
Yeah, 9 Marines on the field here for ByuN.
I almost feel like he should just cancel it and start using that money for something else, but...
Yeah, so he has a tech lab here on this back one, but Stim just takes too long to research, so instead he's going to opt to make Marauders and get concussive shells. I like this. It'll make his army a lot more microable. And ByuN, just watch to see him wait until these barracks are very low HP and then try to defend, because you want to buy as much time as you can to get as many units out of these structures as possible. So now finally lifting this one at 80 HP left. Going to try and get 1 more Marine out of this front barracks, but might actually have to lift that before then. And all right, SCV's getting pull tasteless.
Well, I mean, concussive shell is about to be done, which means he could just kill these, right?
Yeah, behind this, want to say RagnaroK taking that 3rd expansion, adding in more drones, so he's not completely committed here. This is very heavy pressure, but not a complete all-in.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I think that ByuN's fine. It's a little scary, but it's like the game's going to go on. He didn't really lose that much mining time pulling SCVs. Baneling's Nest starts over here. I like this for ByuN right now. I think that he thought, I mean, we were right about the the add-ons going down and the upgrades being delayed, but I mean, how much has this truly slowed the Terran down when you consider that the Zerg had to rush out this tech and at the basically sacrificing getting drones?
Yeah, and ByuN agrees with you too. He's throwing down a 3rd command center already.
It's like ByuN's listening to the cast.
Adding another barracks. He's like, yeah, Tasteless, you are right. I'm doing fine.
Up in a browser.
I'm just gonna make a 4th command center too, Tasteless. I'm totally safe.
More barracks coming down as well.
That's the 4th barracks, I think.
Are there 2 Banelings? Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's an Evo chamber. I'm crazy. I thought he was making 2 Banelings nests. I'm like, oh, how embarrassing, RagnaroK. It's like, no, Tasteless. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so ByuN is going to be going for 4 barracks now. That 1 barracks did fall at the front of the base, but he wants to have a healthy bio count. So he goes 4 barracks with 2 more added, double engineering bay, and then teching up into the factory. So the bio count here for ByuN is going to be really healthy. And the fact that he's going double engineering bay makes me think that if he's going to hit a timing, it's going to be with combat shields and 1-1. And the force that he's going to have on the field then, should these players not trade until that point, is going to be massive. Because the tempo of this game, tech-wise, has slowed down a lot, with ByuN having to reinvest in add-ons and rebuild barracks to get his unit count back up into a healthy spot to secure this third base. And also on RagnaroK's side of thing, having to build that bailing nest and invest all of this gas into roaches and ravagers while slowing down his economy. So in a more low eco game, a situation where ByuN might have a ton of bio with 1-1 upgrades and maybe 2 medevacs out on the field. I mean, we've seen him make magic happen with forces like that. And so my eyes are really set on seeing what's going to happen 2 minutes from now once ByuN's army is actually firing on all cylinders with these upgrades completed. What can he get done?
And we're just now getting that 4th base up here for the Zerg, which is probably going to be the target. That's where the bullseye is going to be for the Terran as he moves out. He's also just, but ByuN's just now landed the command center here. I mean, he's kind of trucking along just fine. It's funny to see how much he reacted to that rush, by the way. If you look at how many bunkers are actually at the 2nd base, he was like very ready for like this to be a full all-in.
Yeah, and another barracks actually being thrown down by ByuN. If I'm not mistaken, he might not have a starport at this point. Am I crazy? I feel like I haven't seen any starport units.
No, that can't be right. Wait, maybe you are right. I mean, we didn't
saw him make the factory, and then I haven't seen much else on the production tab since then. So
he
does have it. All right, I am actually crazy. We're on the units count a little bit too long there. I was just going to say it.
It makes me think of like one of the first years that StarCraft 2 was out, like the very first. Remember, like maybe it was like Lucifron or Vortex was like just not making medevacs in one of these games, like stimming and attacking in. And I'm like, is that how to do it? It's not, but I was like, oh.
I was just confused because in my mind as a Terran player, once that starport is done and it's got the add-on on it, you just immediately want to start pumping medevacs.
Well, the accumulation of medevacs is what gives you the sustain in the long game, right? So
I thought we were witnessing something crazy, but in fact, I'm just blind. Anyway, RagnaroK poking a little bit, gets some check on where ByuN's army force is at. A lot of supply depots getting done. I like this, by the way, for ByuN, where he's like 130 supply out of 173, and he's still building 3 more supply depots. He's just like, no, I just want to get it out of the way, not think about it for the rest of the game. It reminds me of Roach players for Zerg. They just add in a bunch of overlords. Like, yep, I'm just done with that section of my macro.
Now, I mean, is he really going to try to do this? I'm looking at this
so.
army that RagnaroK has. I'm like, that will literally not do anything.
He was trying to set up for this bailing run by the 3rd base, but there was a depot wall for it.
Yeah, but ByuN's ready.
Yeah, ByuN is so good.
All right, well, ByuN is itching to come out. Dead even supplies here. More bailings being made. Let's not forget that RagnaroK got toppled in the push last time because he had bailings morphing too close to where the push was. So Terran just killed the bailings off and then just pushed up from there.
Yeah, a lot of banelings on the field right now for RagnaroK. 35, in fact, already. But army supply is favoring ByuN here. His army's looking really powerful, and it will not, in fact, be that 1-1 timing with combat shield. Instead, just opting to get 2-2. Adding in even more barracks. Another factory also in production. Kind of an interesting game from ByuN. Usually when I think about him playing TBZ, it's non-stop action, but here he is just building up a massive army.
Yeah, he's stayed very, very quiet and very conservative since the attack. And he's even attacking. He hasn't attacked yet, but he will eventually. He's doing it later than he did in game 1.
Yeah, he's going to wait until he's max, basically.
Yeah. And he's even going to get that 4th base here. So we've just, after that rush, it's been a straight-up macro game. Almost like 2 players playing single player.
Yeah, and RagnaroK just continuing to posture in the middle of the map. Getting the feeling that he really wants to go for a trade. This can be an awkward situation here as Zerg with Terran just massing up what you know is going to be an insane army. And Zerg, they want to fight once they hit that max. So bailing's coming in on the top side. ByuN actually microing back, but was not expecting this unit flooding in from where the 4th base are at. So a lot of bio going down. This CC is going to have to lift up. That was a nice sandwich there by RagnaroK coming up to the ramp.
Yeah, very nicely done. He gets in, but he gets right back out again. 2-2 is about to, sorry, infantry level 2, but vehicle plating level 1 is about to finish here for ByuN. And again, ByuN has basically just stayed back at home. He's not moved out, and because of that, we're starting to see rapid growth over here on RagnaroK's side of the map. He's starting to gobble up all the bases here at the top of the map.
High Tech is done, so perhaps Vipers will be on the field pretty soon. Nice surround here on all these units. They'll have to lift up onto the high ground, and RagnaroK really does not want to let ByuN get this 4th base. And behind all this, also coming in with an attack on the triangle third here of ByuN. ByuN's got some nice connection on the SCVs. Actually not fully committing. Could have gotten a few more there, but instead only 6 fall down.
Yeah, 6 is not the number I thought was going to be falling here. And now we're going to see the seesaw of action on the map here. ByuN's going to push up towards the top of the map. And I mean, he's going to be going through a jungle of creep. He's going to have to be very well spread out, or the Banelings are going to decimate his army. A small Link counterattack down here at 6 o'clock as well.
Yeah, finding a lot of damage, just that counterattack, and now ByuN gonna have to do some great micro on creep as the Banelings are flooding in. Not a lot of support here for this bio, and ByuN doing a great job, at least on the right side, of focusing down all the Banelings.
Oh my God, he killed every single one of them. I can't believe it.
That was some insane micro there from ByuN, but I feel like there might be a little bit too much Zerg. He's gonna have to lift up and opts not to go for the main base, instead gonna pull back home, but
oh my God.
Wow.
That was like supernatural.
Yeah.
How many Banes were shot
crazy.
down? That was insane. I can't even believe that. So what is he? He's at 49 workers. That's bad. He's lost quite a bit. And look, the Zerg, you know, it wasn't the most efficient trade, but at the end of the day, the Zerg didn't suffer any real losses. No killed drones, no destroyed hatchery. ByuN's going to gear up for another attack. Again, the supplies are a bit lower on both sides. Is this going to be the moment that ByuN could pull the advantage?
He's got to do something here. This gold base cannot be left to stand, and again, microing the Marines back behind the Marauders. RagnaroK actually retreating with the Banelings, wants to wait until he has more forces here to defend. And again, really nice control here by ByuN. I mean, these Marines, the splitting is just impeccable. Banelings have had a hard time up until now connecting with any significant Marine counts, but the macro from RagnaroK just feels so strong right now. And with another run by the 4th base, ByuN is going to call out GG.
That could be confusing for some people watching at home as to what happened there. The small counterattacks from RagnaroK were doing so much damage that ByuN just tapped out.
Yeah, I mean, his worker count was already so low, and the only reason the supplies were even was because ByuN did have a large army, but it's so difficult when you have pure bio like that, pushing onto creep against the Hive Tech Zerg.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not good. By the way, ByuN, I mean, really playing, I think, one of the most quiet games I've ever seen from him. He was attacked, and he basically just didn't do anything.
I wonder if he thought that RagnaroK had committed much more than he actually did to that attack.
Well, also, we're like watching RagnaroK run around with like just like a Ravager and a bunch of Lings and Banes. And, like, there were moments where I'm like, can't you just push out and kill that? I don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyways, we're tied up 1-1 now. So we're going to go to Grezvin for map 3 here. I don't know who's going to take this, but I think ByuN, we're going to have to see a much more active version of himself. RagnaroK doing a very wide range of plays here with that rush in the last game. A bit more of a standard game in game 1. I don't know what to expect as we go on into game 3.
Yeah, I think ByuN is going to be a lot more active on the map. That last game, if you hid the Terran's name from me, I would not have guessed ByuN in a million years with the way that he approached it. Just a little bit out of his element there, and looking to see him get a lot more active, a lot more aggressive here on Grezvin. It's going to go all the way to map number 3. Winner of this is going to go on to face Nightmare in the winner's match. Loser's going to fight Hero to survive in Code S.
Right. Bit of wild Group B, by the way.
Yeah.
Lots of surprises here. And again, how far can Nightmare actually go? So, I don't know what we're waiting on. Are we going to start this game or not? I keep trying to sum it all up so we can close it out, but they still have not hit the start button. It's possible one of the players has requested a break. You can actually request a break and then not leave your chair, by the way. You can just sit there and use it.
All right, well, I think we're getting ready to go into the next map. Players confirming in the lobby that they are prepared as ByuN and RagnaroK, man. Map number 3 on Grezvin. RagnaroK's already been coming out with some aggressive plays.
Yep, this has been an exciting series. We're going to find out who takes it as we go on into that game 3 now.
2023 GSL Season 2. Mystery Gaming, RagnaroK.
Big cheers in the audience here. Lots of RagnaroK fans today.
Yeah, that was loud.
Yeah, I like that.
Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
When you consider that RagnaroK was historically just a player who was kind of in the background of, compared to the other players we've had at GSL, that's cool to see he's accumulated a bigger fan base here.
Oh, he deserves it, especially after the performance that he had last year and then having to fight all the way back to get to Code S in Season 2 of GSL. It's been a tumultuous road for him in 2023, and so it's good to see him take a game off of ByuN here in map number 2, and now one map win away from going to that winner's match. Is you got some global fans here. Go RagnaroK.
Yes, some RagnaroK support.
Thank you for coming down to the studio. And
yeah, welcome.
Look at this again, Tasteless. We got gas pool. I think this was, this was actually
Oh,
before
I wasn't
the
even
hatch.
looking, actually. Is it the same thing again?
I think so, yeah. Looking at the production, sometimes it's hard to see on these monitors exactly. When it's blue, I don't know if I'm like colorblind or something, but it's hard for me to read how far that progression bar is actually
People are shocked
gone.
at how small the monitors are that we use. We basically cast these off of used Game Gears.
We got like Game Boy Advance right here. Somebody's rendering all that for us.
So, yeah, let's see what happens. We should point out, just like we did in the last game. Last game, the add-ons are sticking out, so the rush is stronger. This time, the add-ons are pointed inside the base because the add-ons are always on the right side of the building. So, you can't be punished in the same way as you could in Game 1.
I remember all the way back in Wings of Liberty, there was a huge discussion in the StarCraft 2 community about whether Terrans should be able to choose which side of their barracks and factory they can drop the add-ons on. And
Yeah,
this was a very intense debate for what felt like months at the start of the game.
Yeah, I feel like you should be able to choose. You should not. I like it just being on one side. And
You like it being
that makes
asymmetric?
it yeah, but I don't know. I feel like all my opinions tend to be like hyper conservative when it comes to RTS. I'm like, don't change anything, don't.
I like it too.
I was like when StarCraft Remastered was being produced, I was against them being able to change hotkeys. I thought that would be like really bad. And then like that's how crazy I was about that. And then of course they let you change it, so I'm like, well, I have to change my hotkeys just like everybody else. And I'm like, oh, this is better. Why did I?
My life is easier now.
Yeah, I was like, why was I fighting this? This is so weird.
I don't have
like,
to move all the way to the numpad to train a probe.
Yeah, I was just like, why did I want that? I guess I'm like, I'm so afraid of, that's going to make the game worse or something. But so maybe I'm wrong about the add-ons, but
I do like having small positional imbalances, though, that players can try and take advantage of.
Yeah, well, also I feel like, it's you don't have to make a wall in with an add-on sticking out, right? So I think it makes it kind of some builds work better in some spots than others. So this game, he's got the Evo Chamber. He's getting a very quick armor upgrade, and at a third base right away. So there's not going to be anything really happening for RagnaroK for a while.
No, instead just teching up a little bit faster with that faster gas, as we're seeing here. And +1 Carapace, an interesting choice. And ByuN, going back to the Banshee that we saw from him in game number 1, yet again. Huh. I kind of thought that in game number 1, that would be more of a throwaway build that you use once. This Banshee comes out when the opponent might be expecting medevacs, and you just use it to get some kills, and then you go back to your norm later on in the series. But it seems like ByuN must have been having success with this in online tournaments. I mean, ByuN and Hero coming into this group, probably two of the hardest grinders on the ladder in terms of playing in, all these online cups, whether it be ESL Opens or these crowdfunded tournaments. Both Hero and ByuN, I think, have racked up maybe 100, 150 games apiece in the past month.
It's crazy, man.
In online tournament play, absolutely nuts. So
he's going to get this Overlord. The Banshee's going to allow for that spotting. And is Terran going to push out with any of this? No, he's just going to head back inside. Still wants to wait for Stim to get done. But the Zerg is going to see that the Banshee's inbound here. Keep in mind that right now the Zerg doesn't know when the Terran leaves because the spotter Overlord's been killed.
Yeah, we actually might have an attack coming out of RagnaroK right now. He's been sitting at 37 drones for a long time, only just now up to 38, and he's just been pumping lings. And with a Baneling Nest back at home and +1 Carapace finishing up, this might be a little bit of a delayed Baneling bust. I'm wondering. It's hard to tell. This could also be him metagaming ByuN, because ByuN loves to do these early pushouts with Marines, and I don't think ByuN would be expecting a massive swell of Zerglings with Carapace right now, right?
Yeah, that would. Yeah, that's actually a very good point, State. That would kind of be like a rug pull, you know?
I mean, look at him
like,
moving
what?
across the minimap. There's so many of these Lings right now with 12 more in production.
Anytime you see somebody moving on the map with Marines and there's no medevac, it is as risky as you think it is.
Yeah.
Now there's one medevac. Oh, I'm sorry. I think there's actually two.
I believe it's 2.
Yeah. Okay. So now he can actually scoop these up if he needs to.
It's just so. I mean, 54 Lings this early in the game right now. It's crazy. Terran's almost ahead on workers overall, so RagnaroK going to see if he can find some damage here, but ByuN, recognizing the situation, just stims back away, kills an Overlord for his trouble. And off creep, the Zerglings and Banes, they really can't connect. RagnaroK, you could see him, trying to position himself to set up a flank should ByuN overcommit, but ByuN is just too smart to let that happen. Just gets his feet wet there on the creep and then recognizes the danger and pieces back out.
Now, yeah, I mean, ByuN's being very, very safe. He's going to tear down these rocks. He's not overextending here. Baneling speed's not done yet, so the Banes are much more snipeable here. He may be waiting for this +1 attack to finish here.
Oh, he's got to be careful of these Banes. ByuN's so good at focusing these units down. Instead opting just to get the Lings here. Some small connections.
Didn't even realize there was a Reaper that fired a shot in there. That's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are they all jancing? So, I mean, he's shut down. Actually, not the best control in the world there from ByuN. At least I'm used to seeing him be a little bit better. He is going to regroup, and we are going to have that push. Keep in mind that part of the reason why ByuN lost that last game was he pushed very late, and on the counterattacks did an absurd amount of damage from RagnaroK. So he needs to have a bit of a different game coming into this.
Yeah, cannot let those run-bys get the same amount of damage done as last time, but as it is right now here in Game 3, the creep spread very weak, and actually RagnaroK with a great pounce on these siege tanks. This is huge for him as he gets a surround on the Marines. All the tanks are going to be eliminated here, and while the Marines survive, I mean, having those tanks taken out when ByuN wants to get in position in siege range of that triangle third base there for RagnaroK is such a boon, and this all goes back to how low eco RagnaroK has been playing. He's still only at 55 drones. He's not trying to push past 60 or 70. He just wants to match ByuN's forces on the map, take some good trades, and then start to build up that eco as he's taking the 4th base now in the bottom left.
So he's going to drop over here into the main. We've got Lings and Banes coming around here to try to save the day. There's no upgrade being made, but that's always a nice catch to get that Evo chamber. Now I'm going to go for the spawning pool. And, oh, almost looked like for a second he wanted to, like, commit down to that. Now, meanwhile, he almost seems to have a kind of bizarrely small amount of units that are beelining across the map.
Yeah, I think ByuN just really wants to make something happen here. And off creep, he should be able to get a good trade here with these Banelings.
I think he just literally gave up and went back to macro more.
That siege tank in the medevac will be able to safely find its way back home, but right now tempo definitely on RagnaroK's side. So all these trades have been very good for him. He just keeps whittling down the Terran army piece by piece, and especially with those 3 siege tanks being out of the field. I mean, imagine if ByuN had double the amount of siege tanks that he has right now. Imagine if he had 5 or 6
wild, yeah,
instead of 2 or 3. There'd be a lot more potential for him to push, but RagnaroK just playing this so smart, really countering ByuN's style here in game number 3.
So, I mean, so far, I got to say, I mean, RagnaroK's doing a really good job of just continuing to grow. It has been difficult, though, for RagnaroK to get another base up. If you look at the next possible 3 bases that are available on the map, none of them are that easy to take. And that may be kind of the long-term plan here for ByuN, is kind of to keep the Zerg on, what is Zerg's on 4 bases now? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4 bases. 4 is good, but 5 is really when things start to get comfortable for the Zerg, you know?
Especially with these Ling-based compositions. You want as much larva as possible,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you need to be able to remake stuff at the snap of a finger.
All right, well, ByuN posturing here outside the triangle third yet again. RagnaroK is now trying to take that 5th base, as you mentioned. Would love to get his hands on that one. And this is the position that ByuN was gunning for a couple of minutes ago. He would love to siege up there by that triangle third to be able to do some damage. And so he's trying to create distraction in the main base here with this drop in. He might have actually been able to buy himself a bit of a window, although those siege tanks still quite far away from the 3rd. We'll see what he's able to get done here. Supplies very even now.
Yeah, you know, he's got tanks. They're pretty far back. It's kind of hard with a small number of Marines to really get that much done. He's trying to fish in the tanks. Now, here comes those Banes. Let's not forget what happened in the last game. Oh, remember the Banshee? Well, that's where it ended up.
It's a little photon cannon right there, just dealing with the Banelings coming into the third base. I love that. Love that there for ByuN, but I mean, this Ling Baneling ball is so massive. It's so swarmy here for RagnaroK. Just so many units on the field, and he would love to section off this army before the reinforcements can come in from ByuN.
You know, it's funny. It's like, yeah, this push was as small as it looked like it was.
Yeah.
We saw Zerg running back and forth, but in fact, RagnaroK could just run in there and kill everything.
But I mean, that trade was not cost efficient for him. Yes, he did clean it up, but now look at the arming supplies tasteless. 101 for ByuN to the 71 of RagnaroK is, you know, this is one of the dangers of playing this more low eco style as Zerg is, yes, you can go tit for tat with a Terran, but if you're not outscaling them, sometimes when those armies get really big and your army gets less cost efficient, it can be scary. And that's kind of the position that RagnaroK is finding himself in now, especially as he tries to set up this 5th base.
Yeah. Now, this base is very, very pushable. We already see the fundamental problems with the way that base has its minerals pointed towards the push itself. And so this should be a much more viable attack coming in here. ByuN is still able to roam with the medevacs. He's still able to find opportunities. And, you know, it's basically this game of whack-a-mole back over there at the Zerg side of the map where he has to make sure he can put out every tiny fire that ByuN starts. And so, once again, the Zerg is on 4 bases. Terran is soon going to be on 4 bases as well. Command center is being made here. And this is really a control game from ByuN. If he can kind of keep the game looking like this for the next maybe 7 minutes or so, he could probably close it out.
Absolutely, and you can see how hard RagnaroK is hurting right now for minerals. I think he had 27 drones on a mineral patch, that base at the bottom left. That's going to get even worse now, losing the triangle. There it is. Momentum rapidly swinging in the favor here of ByuN, as it feels like he's just slowly getting an iron grip on the center of the map. RagnaroK has not been able to break him, and if ByuN is able to just continuously entrench himself in that position, where is RagnaroK going to expand, truly?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question, right? He's going to try now at this bottom base. He tried going up, you know, towards the top, but that didn't work out. It's Zerg on 3 bases right now. A 4th is coming, but it just seems like the noose is slowly getting tighter and tighter here for RagnaroK. You got to remember, guys, Zerg always needs more bases than their opponent in order to even be even at times.
And with the creep spread as dismal as it is over here in the bottom left, with a Baneling composition, that hurts more than anything else, too. Especially, you know, Hydralisk also in the fray, right? It's going to be so difficult for RagnaroK to get a good jump on this. You can see him trying to come in for some plays like this one. CC gets lifted up. That's a better connection than we had in the previous game with 14 SCVs going down, but will it be enough?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Marine bulk is actually too good, and he's going to get his own revenge here, taking out those, not even just the drones, the hatchery as well. He picks up and swings away. A 3-base Zerg, soon to be up against a 4-base Terran. I don't know that RagnaroK can recover.
Yeah, the mining just isn't there right now for RagnaroK. As soon as ByuN repopulates that 3rd base, his mineral income is going to swing way ahead of what the Zerg is at. And RagnaroK feels like he has to push into this, but that's not going to be it.
GG. ByuN moves on. He's going to face off against Nightmare in the winners match. So one of those two is going to be moving on first here from Group B. Great series, though.
Yeah, what a game. I love the approach that RagnaroK had there in Game 3, staying low eco and just trying to overwhelm ByuN in the mid-game, but ByuN is so good at this style. You could just see him, you know, working his way across the map and just never lost his cool. Took it nice and easy. Eventually was able to get a grasp in the middle of the map and never let it go.
Well, I mean, that's that. RagnaroK did put up a good fight, but at the end of the day, I think ByuN just seems to have a very good handle on controlling the game. And again, winning in a very Terran fashion, just kind of smashing the few bases that RagnaroK needed to get set up. And yeah, just never letting the Zerg get to where they need to be, never letting them get that big. We're going to go to a break now, guys. PVT coming up next, Nightmare versus ByuN. You don't want to miss it. See you guys in a few minutes.
She looks like honey taste, the kind of honey you try to save. She sounds just like that way. Music sounds when it first starts to play. I think I'm gonna love her like Johnny loved June. I think I'm gonna need her like the sea needs the moon. She's soft like sunset pink. I shatter like glass against her skin. She's warm like summer rain. I'll always be cold until she holds me someday. I think I'm gonna love her like Johnny loved you. I think I'm gonna need her like the sea needs the moon. I think I'm gonna love her like Johnny loved you. I think I'm gonna need her like the sea needs the moon. Hands in hand, I walk with her, not in front nor ever behind. Oh, so tight, I wanna guard her until my knuckles they turn white. I think I'm gonna love her, like Johnny loved you. I think I'm gonna need her like the sea needs the moon. I think I'm gonna
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
새로운 걸 참해봐 짜릿한 걸 참할수록 더 새로운 날이 보여 시작해 짜릿하게 참해봐 시작해 색다르게 참해봐 매일 참해봐 새로운 날을 시작은 새로운 짜릿함을 참해 매일 새로움을 참해 너도 탐세봐 탐세로
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성 사이다 제로.
여름이 왔다. 마음껏 청량하자. 청량한 순간에 언제나 칠성 사이다.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
킬로스 크로스랑 하는 걸로 돼 있었는데 가니까 이제 람보로 바뀌어 있어가지고 조금 빌드를 선택하는 데에서 많이 생각을 했어야 되는데 너무 급하게 짜가지고 맞물렸던 것 같아요.
준호 형이랑 뽕 형이랑 이제 손잡고 산책도 좀 하고 죽고 싶었는데 날씨는 또 좋고 ES에 갔다 오고 이제 초심을 찾았거든요. 그리고 마인드 자체가 정신무장이 달라요. 30게임씩 하고 있기 때문에
꺼나고 나서 얼마나 운지 몰라요. 퍼즐 시간이 좀 길었을 거예요, 평소보다. 제가 퍼즐 걸고 나서 바로 울었던 것 같아요. 내가 이제 게임을 할 수 있을까? 그런 생각까지 했거든요. 그 다른 스태프분들이 어쩔 줄 몰라 하시더라고요. 제가 울음 그칠 때까지. 지금 생각하면 너무 죄송해요. 경기 끝날 때마다 퍼즐건 선수들한테 가서 좀 미안하다고 하긴 하더라고요.
저번 연도에 뽕에 취해가지고 좀 많이 자만했던 것 같고 똑같은 빌드 하다 똑같이 진 것 같고 너무 안타깝게 생각하지만 지금은 좀 다르다고 생각하고 자신감도 많이 차 있는 상태여서 좋은 모습 보여드릴 수 있을 것 같아요.
신입범의 탈락에 대해서 생각을 말하더라고요, 게이머들이. 그래서 그거 보고 차마 못 듣겠어가지고 바로 껐어요, GSL.
테란전을 준비 엄청 많이 했는데 머리가 새하얘져가지고 잘 못했던 것 같아요.
프라임 막상 가니까 바로 탈락하는 거 보고 나서 아이 뭐 그럼 그렇지 생각 많이 했죠. 그래도 어느 정도 만족했어요. 진짜 오랜만에 사가 간 거라서.
맵이 계속 안 바뀌면은 테란들의 장점인 맵을 이용한 플레이가 많이 나오다 보니까 이번 시즌도 안 바뀌어가지고 아마 테란이 잘하지 않을까 싶은데 제가 보여줘야죠.
테란이 좀 운이 좋았다고 생각하거든요. 다른 종족 선수들이 서로 붙어가지고 우승 후보들이 탈락한 느낌? 그러니까 준호 형이 뭐 민수만에서 탈락했다든지 그런 경우가 좀 있어가지고 이번 시즌에는 최다 종족은 될 수 있어도 사태는 절대 안 나올 것 같아요.
다른 종족이 이제 칼을 갈 거란 말이죠. 비상 4태까지는 안 되지 않을까 생각은 해.
대진표가 안 나온 상황에서 멤버를 봤을 때 티어표가 나오잖아요. 최악의 상황이 테란이 다 저희 쪽에 오는 거였는데 제가 생각하는 최상의 상황이 나왔어요. 저희 쪽에. 아, 이 정도면 할만하겠다. 아마 내 선수 다 그 생각할 거예요.
재미있을 것 같긴 한데 친한 형들한테 맞을 생각하니까 아찔하네요. 그래서.
뭐 온라인 대회나 뭐 그런 약간 좀 작은 대회에서는 제가 많이 져지는데 오프라인 같은 곳에서 이제 준비를 하고 오기 때문에 이번에도 이기지 않을까요?
가위바위보 싸움이 그렇게 진하진 않기 때문에 푸푸전이 제일 무서워요. 무기가 푸푸전을 좀 잘하기도 하고 견제되는 것 같아요. 수범이 형이 준호 형이랑 연습을 많이 해서 잘 준비해서 오시지 않을까.
신범 선수가 잘하긴 하죠. 근데 3티어 보면은 병지 형 있고 동원이 형 있고 도훈 있고 그 4명 중에는 신범 선수가 가장 제가 상대하기엔 편한 것 같아요.
잘하고 그리고 제일 열심히 하는 선수기 때문에 힘들긴 하지만 저는 오프라인을 좀 더 잘하는 스타일이라
후 올라온 베년우는 조금 힘들다고 생각하고 그날의 운이 저한테 와야 되지 않을까. 예를 들면 뭐 현우가 손목이 아프다.
굉장히 재밌게 할 수 있을 것 같고 저번에 못한 만큼 더 열심히 할 거고 저도 제가 좀 좋아하는 줄알아서 재밌는 경기 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
지금까지는 오프닝이었다고 생각하고 지금부터는 이제 뒤도 안 보고 달릴 예정이라서 많은 응원 부탁드리겠습니다. 요새 그래도 게임이 좀 잘 돼가지고 높이 올라가고 싶긴 한데 형들이 살살 해줘야 되지 않을까. 열심히 해서 좋은 경기로 찾아뵙겠습니다.
저는 항상 목표가 앞 경기거든요. 앞 경기만 잘하자. 16강만 잘하자. 이제 또 8강 올라오면 8강은 잘하자. 그거겠죠. 차근차근 가면은 결승 갈 거기 때문에.
Round of 16, Group B. Hero, Nightmare, RagnaroK, ByuN. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 2.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. Nightmare versus ByuN is coming up next. How funny is this? It's Nightmare here in the winners match. I mean, this actually, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, this could really be his big season. This could be
that
it.
way.
Yeah.
He's off to a great start already. I was not expecting him to take down Hero 2-0 in the fashion that he did.
Yeah.
To start things off, I know PvP can be a very volatile matchup, but he just seemed like he had some very good reads. He made some gut calls. They were all correct.
Yeah.
I mean, his play looked good. I mean, maybe his micro wasn't quite as good as Hero's was in some critical moments, but it didn't matter because the decision-making was just so much better.
Also, you know, Hero, we've got a lot of questions about. I mean, we're going to get to explore him versus RagnaroK after this, but what I'm wondering is, like, you know, is Hero really in bad shape, or is Nightmare actually on a whole new plane of skill? And we're going to really get to explore that as we see him go up against ByuN. ByuN is looking better this year than he has in, you know, many other years that I've seen.
He looked really good in Season 1, and in Season 2 here against RagnaroK, you know, GSL finalist from the previous season, now locked all the way to the elimination match. Like as good as ever, and let's get to it, man. Winners match here. Nightmare versus ByuN. Oh, tasteless. Oh, tasteless.
He's a bad person.
Takes it like MTBI or whatever personality test. Just like, yeah, you're a Protoss player. You're trash.
Player, yeah.
You proxy gate your
Artosis
opponents
just
in
woke
GSL.
up in a cold sweat right now as that probe went out on the map.
This is a not very timid one. Oh, is he just going to harass? Oh, that's the least exciting of all the options.
Oh, boo.
You really are a bad person.
You are a bad person.
You hype me up.
So, yeah, he's just going to go ahead and chip away at the SCVs. This is a good way to confirm there isn't a proxy coming.
Yeah, it's the safest possible scout because that came in right from the beginning. Micro Jackson. Let's just keep going back to the Micro Jackson.
Micro Jackson is just so funny, dude.
It's a good one. Yeah, I wonder though, with Nightmare doing an early scout like this, look at all the damage he's getting on all these different SCVs. Do you go Oracle off of this and you start two-shotting some SCVs later, man? Is that the play that you go for?
That's the play, man, yeah.
I remember back in the day in do you remember when Adepts two-shotted SCVs and they nerfed it and they made it so it takes like 2 shots like plus 1 damage?
Yeah.
I used to love two-shotting SCVs, like every other Protoss player. When they nerfed it, I was like, I'm just gonna make a forge and get +1 and then I'll two-shot all the SCVs.
How do we get back to where we were before?
But Nightmare doing this right now, I mean, he could go for an Adept drop or he could go for an Oracle. He could two-shot a bunch of SCVs right now if he wanted to.
It is a funny thing because when the SCVs get damaged, like, you're probably not going to repair your SCVs. I mean, you could, but people don't because then it's like, you know, you're losing mining time, right? But like, sometimes you'll have situations where like a couple of workers get damaged and then later on in the game there's like a fight where it's like the butterfly effect. Like, well, actually, had you just not taken this little bit of damage here, you could have won the most important fight later on.
And we'll see if Nightmare decides to capitalize on that. I doubt that he's thinking like that with his game plan. It's pretty service level, but a man can dream. Notably, Nightmare, his scouting probe did get cleaned up by the Marine and SCV of ByuN. Doing a high ground expansion behind this, going for a Twilight Council. Adept in a Stalker, almost at a Stargate. Excuse me. As we're just going to build up a little bit from here. I really thought we were going to have a Proxy Gate game.
I was ready. I kind of set the tone for it. Really, this is on me.
I was already dancing as soon as I saw the pro moving across the middle of the map.
If we had partying here, it might be. So we're going to go with just the Stalker Blake. So this is going to be very normal play. He's probably going to get a few more gateways up. He'll get a third base out here. This actually should be a pretty uneventful early game for both sides.
Yeah, it does feel that way. I guess there is some potential that ByuN decides to go for Banshees again here, this time in a TVP, but no, he's going to keep the Tech Lab add-on, make a Cyclone on the factory.
So, you know, Nightmare, historically, we've had a couple players that are, like, good enough to get into GSL sometimes, and they don't go deep. And that's Nightmare, right? And look, I mean, GSL has been on for over 12 years. This is the oldest, longest standing esports tournament of all time. It's lasted longer now than the OSL and the MSL for StarCraft 1, which I think a lot of people don't realize, but that's how long we've been doing this. Sometimes it takes some players, you know, a decade plus to really get to where they need to be, and Nightmare might be one of those guys. He might be a late bloomer.
He could be.
And we're going to see if, you know, he might be able to actually come out first here as we go into this game. We've got a Marine drop coming in here now. I don't see anything to defend. The Stalkers are going to come up.
All the Stalkers were in the natural
By the way,
expansion.
how often do you see a Marine drop in this matchup? I feel like I've never cast this ever.
Yeah, not too often. Usually,
right?
usually
Some
you'll have
Widowmine
this.
drop.
Yeah, have this with like a Widowmine drop, or maybe like a Widowmine and a Hellion or something if you're really crazy. But
yeah, it's just funny to see. Like, we don't normally have that.
Yeah, finding 3 probes too is very good here for ByuN. Nightmare just caught out of position, was not anticipating a drop to come off so quickly, especially after scouting that Tac Lab, I think. Might have thrown him off a little bit, and he might have just been like, okay, there isn't going to be a Widowmine drop coming.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about this too much, but ByuN getting some nice early value out of this medevac.
So, yeah, I mean, he's not going to get that much done. But look, if you don't lose the medevac, it's completely fine. Here comes that third base. You know, there's a reason, though, why we don't see medevac, Marine drops in this matchup very often. It's because it's hard to really get a whole lot done. I think he got 2 probes with that. So, that being said, though, you are accumulating more infantry earlier on here, so you might have a more forceful push.
Templar Archives again, reminiscent of what Classic was doing on Tuesday.
And so the idea with this is you get the storm out as fast as possible and use the storm to basically crush the push. A lot of players get storm a little bit later, and they try to get the maybe like a Colossus out, or sometimes even a Disruptor or some other form of splash damage. Really what the Protoss is doing in the matchup very often is this is just not going to get away. Very often in the matchup, the Protoss is just trying to get several different types of splash damage to obliterate the army.
Yeah, but this time Nightmare is just fully committing to gateways. Storm is coming. It does get scanned here by ByuN.
He got a lot of gates, by the way.
Yeah,
so he might actually want to have some kind of a push come out here.
I think we might be up to 8 gates, 7 or 8 gates in total right now.
I feel like that's not a normal number.
Added another one, so he's adding at least 2 more. So there's a ton of gateways going down on the field, and this might again be kind of similar to what we try to see RagnaroK do in the previous game against ByuN, where you just kind of build a ton of units in the mid game because you know ByuN's going to be aggressive, and then you just pounce on him, you wipe out that army, and you try to play the game from there. This seems like it's kind of the Protoss equivalent, sitting at 54 workers, powering with a ton of gateways, and should ByuN push out early and get caught out of position against Charge Zealots at 4 Templar with a Warp Prism and Storm, there's a lot of potential here for Nightmare to get some damage done. And oh my goodness, blinking in the main base. We didn't even catch this. He's going to get combat shields.
Yeah, that's actually really good when you consider the fact that Storm's about to be done. He didn't manage to catch any of this other stuff. By the way, of course, High Templars, they can nuke those medevacs, getting rid of their energy.
Yeah, but I cannot understate how big it is to actually take out combat shields there when you're going for a Storm composition like this one. I mean, 10 extra HP on Marines is massive, so...
And Storm does damage so fast that sometimes you can't get out or get away from it.
Love what we've seen from Nightmare today. Now this Raven coming into the main base here for ByuN should be able to find a couple of probe kills, get some damage done. Idle time as well, 2 probes in total going down, and ByuN's going to use this distraction to start moving across the middle of the map, but... Nightmare looking to be in a pretty good position. Now, I wonder, does he really only have the 2 Templar? I guess he does, because he morphed an Archon. That's not that many Storms, unless he's been saving these for a while.
Yeah, is he going to pick up and go into the main?
He might.
Well.
It's difficult. I don't think he would do it without going for a scan first, especially after those Stalkers just shoot away
that's
the Ravens.
A good point. Well, the Army's going to come in here. He can intercept the push. He does have 2. I think there's 2 Templars.
Yeah, he knows. He knows the Stalkers are on the triangle third now, so we can actually come into the main base. And there's some easy picking here in terms of probes and pylons.
There were a bunch. Oh, yeah, sorry. There are Stalkers up there. I couldn't see them for a second. They blended in with the minerals. Well, he's going to clean this up.
Okay.
The medevacs survive, but there's only one group of units inside one of the medevacs, so not as much of a threat. Look, ByuN's doing a good job basically keeping the Protoss matted down. ByuN is still on 2 bases, by the way. Did he get an extra command center, or is he getting one?
Yeah, looking at the minimap, it looks like there is one at the north side of his base.
Oh, I see that.
It seems like it's also under construction. I think little SCV working on that one. And although ByuN is late with his 3rd command center, he's done a great job of managing the probe count here for Nightmare. While Nightmare has been quite good in his defense and the big picture part of the thing, it's just been a lot of probes going down, and now it seems like he's just fixated on going in for this attack, and you cannot breach that position in ByuN's natural. I would be surprised if Nightmare tried it. I mean, this wall in with a bunker, with all of these siege tanks, with ghosts on the field, ByuN is building a massive army back at his natural, and look at 23 probes going down. This drop is still happening, Tasteless.
Yeah.
Even the
it feels like it just never ends. There's been 24 probes killed, by the way.
I think in total this game, it might be closer to like 35 or 40 probes, because right now Protoss at 43.
What is happening? Wait, that was the weirdest looking attack ever.
That was very odd.
Okay, is he going to actually come in here? He needs to get these Storms off. Okay, this is a very clumsy interaction here from, oh my god.
Oh no, that hit 5 Templar there. There's only 1 Templar with Storm left.
Yeah, this has really been bungled. And ByuN is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger here. He's got his third base up. We're seeing Nightmare limp through this game. We're basically past the point of the Storm having a whole lot of utility. When Ghosts come out, they counter this pretty nicely.
I mean, there are still plays you can make with Warp Prism and spreading Templar, the same way that Parting used to do very early on.
Right.
And, you know, late Heart of the Swarm, early Legacy of the Void. But I just feel like so much has been bungled on Nightmare's side of things. He's lost so many probes right now. He's down to 52 workers. He went for that attack because I felt like he had to get something done after losing so much eco back at home. And it was one of the worst engagements he possibly could have taken. So suddenly now, I don't know if there's an answer to this army that ByuN has moving across the middle of the map. Now, the Gateway count in the Gateway army, it is very high, but there's very few Storms, if any, here. Maybe 1 at most. And in fact, no, just going to opt for the feedback is Nightmare. And StimBio shreds Gateway units with no AoE.
Oh my god, yeah, that is probably game, actually. Excuse me. Like I suddenly died. Like, GG, ByuN takes game 1.
I mean, Nightmare looked so good through the early portion of that game, but
yeah.
It just felt like the snowball effect of the harassment from ByuN was just unbelievable there. The Raven got so much damage done, I feel like it hit maybe 4 or 5 different mineral lines, and every single time it would chip away 2 or 3 probes. And on top of that, the drops coming in. They got 20+ kills at one point there in the main base. The answer didn't arrive for a full minute for Nightmare, so he just kind of got pulled apart by the multitasking of ByuN. Did not have an answer for the push moving across the middle of the map as a result of that, and ByuN taking a 1-0 lead, now 1 map win away from advancing first in Group B.
Yeah, I got a couple thoughts on that game, to be honest, from Nightmare, but I'll expand on that once we actually start this game, because it looks like our countdown is already going. Nightmare playing amazingly here versus Hero, but right now ByuN in the lead here for this winner's match. Let's see if Nightmare can recover. ByuN goes on to the round of 8.
Club NV, Nightmare. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
So, looking at the last game and what happened, it seemed like what Nightmare wanted to do was get the Storm fast and not actually absorb an attack, but actually have his own attack on the Terran's third. That seems like what he planned. And I think what happened in the game is that ByuN just played a different game, and it's almost like Nightmare wasn't able to deal with that. ByuN played a pretty tactical game of drops that would chisel away at the worker count, like lots of them. Medevac drops, Cyclones coming in and attacking at different angles, the auto turrets being thrown down. And so what happened is that Nightmare, I mean, obviously he's not going to die at that moment, right? But he still wanted to do that attack that he had planned for, right? But it was way later, and it was also, Terran didn't even have a third base that you could attack into at that moment comfortably.
No, it was a high ground CC.
Yeah, it was a high ground CC, and there was a siege tank. Siege tanks in the main covering infantry on the ground, and so
with a bunker.
With a bunker, so it's like
Ghost and a massive bio army.
Yeah, and so I think what Nightmare kind of, in a way, was almost in denial about the game that he was playing. The game probably could have gone on had he not done that attack, but it's like he instead just got beaten up and then just did this weird late timing attack into a position that literally made no sense and was shut down, and from there ByuN closed the game out. So maybe Nightmare a little bit in his own head, so to speak, but he's going to have a cleaner game coming into this and really play play whatever game ByuN is going to bring here. You know, a lot of times in the early mid game, it is the Protoss trying to defend against, you know, usually it's Widow Mine drops, but we did see, you know, a Marine drop there. But you know, you need to make sure that you're able to absorb those correctly, not, you know, have minimal losses, and ideally gun down the medevacs and everything inside of them.
We have some very interesting openings out of both players here to start things out on altitude. Nightmare went for a gas first gateway expand, which allows him to actually go for not just a sentry, but a Stargate here right out of the gate. And on top of that, ByuN on his side of the map goes for a 1 Rax expand into a very fast third CC. So both players playing a little bit to the beat of their own drums here in this PBT.
Yeah.
Not the start I expected on altitude.
I'm kind of surprised by the Stargate here from Nightmare. I thought it was going to be Blink Stalker again and just kind of a standard play. And he is going to make a Phoenix. And you can see he's not rallying that Phoenix out. He's going to pool up the Phoenixes.
And he's going to scout the main base here at ByuN with this hallucinated Phoenix. This is one of the bonuses that you get from doing this gas first opening, as Protoss is get that sentry out early enough that you can really confirm things very early on. And he sees the third CC, so what is the reaction going to be here from Nightmare? It looks like going to throw down that Robo, Pro moving out potentially to the triangle, third, try and set up a third expansion. And my question is, how many more Phoenixes is he going to make? Because you can, in theory, commit to higher Phoenix count in this situation, but it gets scary because, you know, Phoenixes, they're very good at intercepting high-tech units, like, say, a Widow Mine drop that would come in. You can kill the medevac, you can lift up the Widow Mines.
Right.
If you have a Banshee coming in, then if you're able to spot it, you can easily snipe that down with an Observer or an Oracle plus those Phoenixes. But 3CC is usually very bio-heavy. There's usually a lot of Marines and Marauders on the ground. The Starport units, they come out considerably later because everything is slowed down tech-wise for the Terran player, and Phoenixes, they do not scale well against that. So I'm not surprised to see Nightmare cutting Phoenixes at only 1 or 2 and switching straight into the Robotics Bay in the third base. I think it's a very smart decision from our Protoss player.
So, you know, unfortunately, this wasn't one of these games where it's going to be quick drops or anything where those Phoenixes can kind of absorb that and deal with it accordingly. Instead, it's going to be a very delayed push coming out here. ByuN's going to come out and try to put some pressure on here. Still not used to the water sound effect. I don't know why this bothers me. I feel like it's just not a sound effect that I should be hearing in an RTS game right now.
It just feels so out of place.
It's just splishy splashes.
It's like Elder Scrolls 6 or something.
Yeah,
you're like walking through a river.
Like I'm in Skyrim and I'm like going through a creek right now.
All right, well, this push is coming out. Colossus only just now started. There are only 3 sentries. All right, Nightmare's like, I do have a Colossus, ByuN, go away.
On guard.
Go away.
Is ByuN going to go for it?
I think he should.
Now he should see that did no damage. He goes, wait a minute, I know your secret.
All right,
you're a liar.
All right, yeah, not even focusing down the Colossus. Nightmare, or ByuN just knows. While the units get lifted up, everything gets evaporated on the ground.
That's so funny. The Colossus attacks goes, wait a minute. So funny.
This is one of the funniest engagements
Oh, here's a real one.
This one's real. Those Marines actually have to run now, but I feel like that attack was so decisively in the favor of ByuN that this game might... I mean, I don't want to... I'm doing the bad thing as a caster, and I'm totally killing the hype right now, but wow, that is so bad for Nightmare.
That was hilarious.
10 probes. He has 1 Colossus, this lone Colossus on the field. He starts charge, cancels it, begins blink. He's got his work cut out for him to come up in this one because not only is he behinded workers, but he's also behinded military. And ByuN right now, he's just pumping. He's going to have +1 infantry weapons soon. Concussive shells is underway. I mean, the production tabs really tell the story here with Nightmare struggling to really get back on his feet, and ByuN's back, ready for round 2.
Yeah, he's going to have concussive shells this time.
4 slow zealots and a Colossus tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. Medevacs are going to come out here now as well, so if he wants to, he can even like pick up and just run into the main. I don't think we're actually going to be in this game for much longer. Again, head the Colossus, not attacked. It's possible ByuN would have been scared away.
Maybe. It's still a very scary position. And yeah, Nightmare is just not in a happy place right now. Double medevac drop heading to his natural expansion. Not a lot of anti-air on the field, so he's going to have to rely on these shield batteries and this soon-to-pop Colossus. While ByuN postures at the third base. Oh, the Robo.
No, he stops the Colossus from coming out. And the Zealots are almost not even touching the infantry. Good control over here in the third, but, you know, with medevacs, you just ignore that position and go into the main.
Let's go up into the main. Nightmare living up to his name right now, as this is truly a Protoss Nightmare in this PvT. ByuN is everywhere, and that's going to be GG. ByuN advancing first in Group B.
Easy peasy, man. ByuN in great shape. Clearly just stronger than the rest of the group.
Yeah. Gotta say, that was some clean performances out of ByuN. I mean, RagnaroK gave him a run for his money, going all the way to Game 3, but truly outshining Nightmare here in this TVP.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, like, ByuN, you know, I always am excited when he does well. You know, he's a big fan favorite with everybody. Nightmare, you know, it was not as good as that PvP he had with Hero. It was a very different game. But of course, Nightmare's not out, guys. He's going to be going into the final match of the day. But ByuN is our first survivor here. Moving on into that round of 8. Another Terran, by the way. Caster Park says, congratulations, ByuN. He says, thank you. It seemed like you brought that signature ByuN play style. How do you feel?
1위로 진출한
Firstly,
20년의 마지막이었는데 3년 만에 1등으로 진출하게 돼서 너무 기쁘고 솔직히 아무리 진출해도 2등으로
I never normally make it out of the group first.
예상과 다르게 1등으로 진출하게 돼서
I wasn't sure if I could get to the quarterfinals, but I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll get out of the group second, so I'm very happy that I was able to advance first.
오늘 손목 상태가
Well, you dominated today. You were just an overwhelming force today.
보호대를 끼고 경기를 해봤는데
He says, yeah, my wrist condition is good today. This wrist, he's talking about the wristband he's wearing.
경정이 그랬으니까 뭐 괜찮겠지.
Gumiho said this wristband is good to use. So I've been trying these out. And I took some of his energy as well. So, yeah, I'm thankful to him. Before the game started, did you catch that?
I think they said they paused the game again. He said to quit.
Yeah,
is that what
I believe that's what they said. Let's talk about your builds. It seemed like you were in trouble with the double Rax Reaper opening, or a little bit. Do you still think that's a viable way to play the game early on? So against Zerg, I was expecting a roach pressure, but I still have a belief that this is still a functional build. And I don't think there's a Zerg who could take me on. And then Caster Park went, so they're doing a little bit teasing him now. They said that's because Korean Zergs don't play as well as Cyril does. Let's just put it that way. Anyways, last season you made it to the semifinals and the quarterfinals. It seems like you still are carrying that confidence with you. I imagine you have some very big goals for this season. Do you want to share that with us? I was playing in an online tournament yesterday. I played well on that. I think that helped carry over into my mindset here today. I wasn't really sure if I would play as well since this is a live matchup in a studio. I tend to be more nervous in the environments like this. But I came in today, I felt good, and I played well.
뭔가 그때 기억도 좀 새록새록 나고 그때랑 좀 비슷한 느낌이 나는 것 같아서
And in a winner's interview like this in 2016 when I won GSL, I feel like I'm in that moment. I'm having nostalgia for that because I'm here with you guys right now. So it gives me even more motivation to move on into this season's finals. Any closing thoughts, ByuN?
뭐 또 이렇게
I'm grateful to my fans
팬분들도
for supporting
만족하셨을
me.
거예요. 제 경기력에 이렇게 조금 좀 쉽게 올라간 적은 처음이
I'm
아니라
sure all you guys all enjoyed my
오랜만이거든요.
performance today.
그래서 그 엔셰핑에서 있었던
I'm very glad I made it easily to the quarterfinals
했던 거는 너무 걱정하지
after a long, long time.
그래도 최대한
I know that people are always worried about my wrists.
쇼피파이 리벨리온에서
I did not participate recently in an ESL event because of my wrists, but don't worry about me. I think my wrist conditions are improving.
좋은 경기력을
And
보여드리겠습니다. 네, 감사합니다.
oh, thank you to my team for supporting me constantly. And I'm confident I'll do well. All right, well, there you have it. I'm like laying down on my back. You know, the camera.
Gotta get back into
I'm on my back and I have cucumbers over my eyes. Like,
we got to get back into that studio mindset, man.
Yeah,
We're not ready for
I'm
it.
not used to it. Anyways, ByuN is moving on. We're going to have Hero up against RagnaroK. That's such a crazy good match to have in the round of 16 where we eliminate one of these guys. So I look forward to that as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a crazy elimination match. I definitely expected Hero to win against Nightmare, but instead it's going to be him versus GSL runner-up from just a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
Unexpected results so far here in Group B. And so far, Tasteless still only Terrans have advanced.
Only Terrans. That's the dream. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back with the losers match. We'll see you soon.
Change. I see the skies getting darker, cause the weatherman says it's gonna rain. Go ahead, call us outlaws. Yeah. Cause we're till the roof on, yeah. We are a hurricane. I'm blowing in and we're taking names. Bringing the soul, here we go. Put your hands up, 'cause we are a hurricane. We are a hurricane. Better get your umbrella, 'cause this wind's gonna kill you. There's no stopping us now. We'll blow down this house, yeah. We are a hurricane. I'm blowing in and we're taking names. Bringing the soul, here we go. Put your hands up.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
너도 탐세봐 탐세로.
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성 사이다 제로.
여름이 왔다. 마음껏 청량하자. 청량한 순간에 언제나 칠성 사이다.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
Round of 16, Group B. Hero, Nightmare, RagnaroK, ByuN. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, Live, 2023, GSL Season 2.
Welcome back to the GSL. RagnaroK versus Hero is coming up next. We've had ByuN escape and survive into the round of 8.
And now one between RagnaroK and Hero will be eliminated today out of Group B. Not what I expected to see in the elimination match, to be frank, because this could very well be the final match of the group. Instead, one of these guys going to move on to play Nightmare. Might be Hero with a rematch, might be RagnaroK in another ZVP.
Yeah. Now, you know, the Hero games, they weren't bad. PvP is like a funny matchup. Like, there's so many different situations that can manifest that are like hyper-specific, and you really have to know the ins and outs. I do think that Hero has proven at times to be one of the best PvZers in the whole world.
Oh, for sure.
And on top of that, I think RagnaroK, he does appear to be a bit more atrophied in this season. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think he just lost a little bit of momentum perhaps after missing Codes in the previous season, right? So we'll see if he's able to start to get the ball rolling, get some momentum back. RagnaroK versus Hero here, the elimination match.
Mystery Gaming, RagnaroK. DKZ Gaming, Hero.
Hero looking a little uneasy today.
I mean, he is in the elimination match already,
Yeah.
right? And after a performance that certainly didn't meet his own personal expectations in Season 1, the pressure has to be on.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny too, because he finished his military service and looked so good. Like, he came right out, and it's like, that does not happen very often. Usually people
Almost never.
Almost never, yeah. People come back from the military service, and they're very rusty, and they have very bumpy games. Sometimes they literally do look like they haven't played the game in like 2 years. Like, they're playing like an older meta.
There's no forge,
No
by the way.
forge,
You
sorry.
can keep going.
I was like, oh, stop talking tasteless. We got to rush. But yeah, and that was not the case with Hero. And I think rightfully so. Everybody looked at that and went, oh my God. This guy might just go all the way to the top. And then he did. So what's weird now is that we're here in 2023, and he does seem to now have all that kind of weird shakiness suddenly manifesting.
The odd thing is, too, his online performances have been so good
Yeah.
as of late as well. He was on some insane winning streaks recently in online matches, even leading up here to the GSL. So you got to think that maybe the pressure is getting to him a little bit after that poor performance in Codes Season 1. But you know, as of yet, he still only has played 2 games, right? So let's give him that.
Sure.
And they're PvPs as well. It's probably a matchup he hasn't practiced very much because usually Protoss players die.
Yes.
But Just to be real, I think that Hero absolutely still has the potential. He's definitely, if not the best Protoss player in the world, then top 3 Protoss players in the world, regardless of the results from Season 1 and so far here in Season 2. I have no question in my mind about that, just given his performance online and his history over the past year as opposed to the past couple of months. But I would love to see him get back on the train here. Group B, go advance on from this one. I mean, I don't want to show too much favoritism because also RagnaroK, you know, he was a GSL finalist.
Yeah, I mean, he's had an incredible story.
Yeah, he had a huge build-up. It felt like every single season he was doing better last year after, you know, being one of these strong Zergs in Korea that wasn't really able to make a breakthrough in GSL before that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there were times even before shows in GSL last year where we were talking about, like, is he now just the best Zerg in Korea? Is this what's happened?
Yeah.
It was surprising. So both these guys, you know, poor performances in GSL Season 1, RagnaroK not even qualifying, Hero one of the first players eliminated, have something to prove here.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Now, ooh, nice block. You know, let's remember that we had this weird style from Hero that was just unlike anything that we had seen for a while, where he was staying very active with Stalkers and kind of outgrowing against the Zerg.
Yeah, the Stalker
Stalker. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to have it now.
This is so good. Nice 3 kills right there.
Yeah, only losing shields too. Nicely done. Uh-oh.
Oh, it looked like Hero wanted to do a little changing of the guards right there. But he did it. Oh, the second one is also rallied in. It's not rallied to the wall, so now he's going to have to reactivate the Oracle here that is low on energy from killing drones and the natural expansion of RagnaroK, and some probes for sure are going to fall. One goes down in the main base.
Yeah, and I think the Oracle's almost out of energy. He could just, you know, oh god, there's nothing more frustrating than when speedlings are in your base.
Oh, it's the worst feeling in the world.
And you like try to make your probes turn an attack, and they just run away, and you're like, I hate this game.
I mean, this isn't game ending. I don't want to make this sound crazy, but it feels absolutely terrible, and especially at this stage in the game here for Protoss. This is generally what your build is still so tight. You want everything to be ironclad. You want to be hitting all of your timings so that you are perfectly prepared for the mid game. But, you know, losing a probe there in the natural expansion, not too bad. It could have been way worse. But all the mining time lost, losing those early adepts, now you have to remake units to actually clog those walls in that you can't have roaming around the map doing other tasks. Losing all this energy on the Oracle, suddenly it's a less useful tool for harassment. It hurts a lot. And Hero, he had to make a couple of other adepts because he didn't know how much RagnaroK was really committing there. So a bit of an awkward position here for Hero. Game's not over by any means, but that was a nice start for RagnaroK. Love that run by him.
Yeah, no, it's impressive to see. And that stuff does add up. Even if not that many workers are killed, just stopping workers from mining for a little bit, it hiccups everything that kind of comes out after that. So we're having Blink come down here, +1 attack. The Protoss is playing a very, very standard game. We won't see any attacks here from the Protoss other than maybe like a poke with the Oracles like we're seeing now. Is he going to be able to force this hatch to cancel? Whenever you see them attack the hatch like this, I'm like, oh, you have to exactly know if you can do this or not.
I think it's close. He actually is going to force the cancel. Oh, and he gets the drone.
Nice.
Yeah, very well done. Those queens just a little bit too slow. Yeah, it's hard to do the math in your head when you see a hatchery that's
also like it's like once you start it, you're like, we have to just like commit to this. Like, are we going to actually get rid of this thing or not?
Yeah, the 24 energy cost of starting that back up again is expensive. And 4 more gateways underway here for Hero. And with 3 Oracles in total on the field, we might see something a little bit, you know, reminiscent of what we had from him once he returned from military service with Blink Stalkers and Oracles and +1 ground weapons. Oh, actually nice. He caught those queens. They're the natural expansion. Going to be a little bit annoying here for RagnaroK to deal with that.
Yeah, that is nicely done. A little bit of a stun, a little bit of a trip up there. It's going to be necessary for Hero to continue to have those kind of moments. Okay, now Stalker Blink's done. So we're going to go into that Oracle Stalker style we were talking about. I was wondering, I knew he had some for defense, but I was wondering, is he actually going to be aggressive with this? And again, Zergs didn't really know how to deal with this when Hero was dominating last year. So the question now is, what do they have in store for us here?
Whoa, Fleet Beacon now in production taste is behind this. Wow. This is not the transition I expected. Now, RagnaroK's going to try and come in and get us around. Some nice stasis words are able to catch about a dozen Lings, taking a lot of the DPS off this Zerg army. Hero would love to deny this hatchery yet again. And I think there's only one Stargate back at home. So this, oh, okay, second Stargate in production. Oh, I can't wait to see what Hero decides to produce out of this.
This is really interesting.
I love this stasis one too. Look at that, it's like a force field.
It's so good. Yeah, it's funny because it's literally making like this ring around them that is actually making the Lynx have a much harder time trying to surround. Now, he's done some decent damage with the Stalkers, but he's not reinforced with the Stalkers. The supply's gone up, Army supply, but I don't see where that has actually been poured into. It must be back at home.
All right, Stargates are done. +1 air weapons is begun here. RagnaroK, it seems like he did scout that fleet beacon at some point. Not sure exactly what the units of choice are going to be. The way that Hero's waiting makes me think that this might be carriers, but as of yet, nothing started. And yet, here we go. Carrier number 1 in production. So it's going to be a very early carrier transition here for Hero behind Blinkstalker Oracle.
Yeah.
And, oh, that's so many charge zealots. That's where all the army supply is, Tasteless.
That's right. So he's going to come in here. It's going to be like a 1-2 punch. The charge lots are actually down here at the bottom. I'm sorry, where's this relative to the Stalkers? Stalkers are up here at the top. This is kind of a funny interaction. I don't know if this is even good or bad right now. It looks like the Zealots are actually overcoming the Roaches. The Stalkers are still being microed up here in this fight.
Oh my goodness, look at these stasis wards too, just continuously catching massive groups of Zerg units as another flood of Lynx come in. Now some drones are going down to the natural expansion. Would love to see Hero send some of those Zealots over there to the 4th base.
This is wild, man.
And Hero now blinking in to the 3rd. There's more than a dozen drones going down.
This is insane. Can he just blink up into the main now?
Oh, this is a crazy play here from Hero. He is so active on the map.
And he just recalls it. So that was pretty good. That was a lot of damage that was dealt. And then he has carriers.
Yeah.
What is happening?
This is nuts. 2 more carriers in production.
This
so the
game is a fever dream. I don't know what's going on right now.
I mean, RagnaroK has to be really thrown off his game. This is the most active I have seen a small group of Stalkers with 3 Oracles at all, even from a player like Hero. And now coming in like this, there's only 1 queen on the map, Tasteless. There's no other anti-air. There's literally no queens. Hydralisk Den only about halfway done. What is the answer? This hatchery's going down. RagnaroK decides he has to go in for the counterattack. Oracle's still with enough energy. They're going to start focusing down Ravagers. Bios do pop on the overcharged battery, but the arc of Stalkers, especially with a photon cannon, might be enough to hold. Carrier reinforcing. I think Heroes won. Game 1.
Dude, that
what
was so cool, man. Oh my God. That was different. I don't even know what to say. Also, to see the Zealots like completely on their own, I mean, it's a very different way to engage the Zerg, right? It's one thing to be like, okay, I'm gonna blink a lot. I'm gonna set up these stasis wards. Hero, by the way, looks like he lost the game even though he won. It is so interesting to see. He's like, no, we're gonna fraction off the Zealots. We're gonna fracture them and send them on their own and do that. And then we're gonna have the Stalkers come back, and then we're gonna have the carriers come out. It's such a different take on it. RagnaroK looking like he's in trouble right now.
I gotta say, if you're a Protoss player watching this and you have not subscribed to the Patreon or like done balloons, I don't know what's gonna convince you to get a replay pack other than a game like that one.
Sells itself,
Absolutely
man.
Crazy.
GSL Season 2. Mystery Gaming, RagnaroK. DKZ Gaming, Hero.
God, I'm still reeling from how insane that last game was by Hero. There was not a moment after he took his 3rd base where the action didn't stop. It was just, it was non-stop action. The Stalkers blinking from the 3rd base into the main base, back into the 3rd base. There were like 4 stasis wards that popped, maybe even more than that, that connected with 10+ supply of Zerg units. How often do we see that? Very rarely, I feel like.
It's just such a different way of engaging with the Zerg. Like, it's such a fun... I've always liked when Hero does that, and I remember when I saw him do it, I'm like, okay, either this is like really good and maybe the right way to play the game, or this is just so weird that the other players don't know what's going on. But to see him do it again is really exciting.
So cool from Hero. Love to see it. I'm keeping my eye now on this pro moving down to the bottom left corner of the map as well.
Yeah.
I think Hero might have on his mind something sneaky
Is he a
planned
bad
with his
person?
pro. He is
He's a bad person.
You know, he's a Protoss player. He gets a pass. They've had a hard time. You got to do anything, man. Like,
he's a bad person, or his Protoss players called him good person.
This is like Les Miserables. He's like robbing bread to steal his family. Like, he doesn't deserve whatever punishment he's gonna get for this. Like, if karma exists, it's gonna give him a pass. We need a Protoss advancing to the quarterfinals. I mean, that's just the truth of it, right?
Wow, dude, that is so early.
Oh, it's another gateway too.
Okay, that's funny because I was like, well, maybe it's like a Stargate, but another gate?
Yeah, I was curious because he was not rallying very rapidly into the gas, which is what you would expect to see if it was a Stargate. So it's like, okay, maybe a Robo, but also that's such a big commitment because it's going to die, right?
Yeah.
And so for this to be a gateway, I wonder exactly what Hero's going to do. I mean, maybe you bank a couple more Adepts and you just kind of come in at a time that Zerg's not anticipating it, maybe before Zergling speed is done.
Dude, this is like Dinosaur that's by this. I keep thinking it's getting scouted.
Oh, it is going to get scouted, Tasteless. The Ling's coming in.
The Dinosaur told him.
Yeah, it tipped him off.
He's like, Proxy. Proxy's mouth is opened up. Proxy game.
He's chirping. He's chirping.
No brain, just rush.
No brain, just rush. Is that what you said?
no, he's accosting around. He's like, no skill. Afraid of late game. The can't macros. That's Artosis right down there.
He's reincarnated.
That's the Artosis dinosaur. Calling him out. Afraid of my late game.
No, dinosaurs are really just big birds too. So it kind of does look like Dan.
Dan, Artosis has always been very bird-like.
Yeah, if he's a Sesame Street character, he's Big Bird. All right, so 2 Adepts coming into the natural
he's Beaker
expansion.
for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right. All right, this is getting some damage. 3 drones already. Some Adepts are getting traded off. Now, the Stargate is going to be able to pump out at least one Oracle. Oh, no, the wall-in! It's not done. I'm getting flashbacks to game number 1 here as the Lings actually kind of botched this around, so it's not as dramatic as it could have been. Only 4 of them going to get in. Very low on HP. Finally, the pylon will go down, but I think one Oracle is on the field.
Oh my God.
Some hard attacks in these games.
Yeah, this is quite the game, man. I mean,
you got to give the edge to RagnaroK, though. Catching the proxy
100%.
like that, a gateway and a Stargate.
I kind of bummed out. I wanted to see what the rush would look like because, you know, it's a very unusual time to have a rush that comes out that's like that. But, you know, props to RagnaroK.
Yeah, he's doing well, feeling comfortable enough to just continue to drone. Behind this, Spore Crawler's going down, even though he knows it's only 1 Oracle on the field. And the transition from Hero is going to be Robo Twilight back at home, 1 more gateway being added. Probably pivoting to take another 3rd base. As things are going to start to calm down a little bit here. It's been a crazy couple of minutes. I got to say, like, the final moments of game number 1 and then this wild opening here in game number 2 by Hero. Oh, what? Templar Archive coming down.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Huh.
And a Warp Prism. So, I mean, that usually telegraphs that he's going to be attacking.
4 more gateways too in charge as well. Is this going to be a Zealot Archon timing on 2
I think
bases?
so. Now, keep in mind, this is like the plan B, right?
Of
I
course.
mean, basically, you go into this expecting the rush to work. When it backfires, you have to cobble together something. How good is it going to be? I'm not sure, but I did not expect anything to become activated this quickly. I kind of imagined he was going to get a 3rd base and just sort of play, frankly, kind of a boring game, but this is very different.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You know, Robo and whenever I see a Robo in a Twilight Council in a position like that one, I'm like, okay, it's going to be Blink, an Observer, a Warp Prism. We're going to take a 3rd base.
Yeah.
But instead, Templar are coming out. I don't think Storm is in production, so yeah, they're being morphed into Archon. It's going to be an Archon drop. And maybe Hero was hoping that RagnaroK would be sticking on Lings a little bit more than he's opting to do, because now that the Roachwarren is done and RagnaroK has a good amount of minerals and gas saved up, you have to think that's going to be the transition here. And without a lot of splash damage, like Disruptors, for example, or without a healthy number of Oracles, a Roach Ravager timing with +1 melee attack Lings could be deadly on this third base here for Hero.
Oh, that's a lot of legs, man.
Yeah, that's going to get canceled.
Yeah, it's so funny, too, because you see the Stalker, like, in the Adept wedge, and they're like, we have a surface area. And they're like, we don't care. We're going to kill the Nexus.
Yeah, this attack's coming in. The Zealots will get traded out. The Archons are going to have to phase back into that Warp Prism and escape. We'll get that Queen. Get 2 Queens. Finally.
Nice.
Some nice value there. Hero needs a lot of wins like that because he's still sitting on 2 bases and he's pumping Zealots. And if I'm RagnaroK right now and I'm seeing Hero pumping Zealots, knowing that I'm already on Roaches, it's like, okay, he really doesn't have a lot of tools in his belt to deal with what I've got. I think a Roach Ravager timing is probably in the cards here.
You know, I'm starting to think that RagnaroK is just going to continue to catapult ahead. This is looking really bad right now for Hero. He is going to start that third Nexus. It's pretty late, but you know, now is better late than never. And the Archons haven't. I mean, they've gotten some Queens, which is good, but I mean, RagnaroK does seem to just if you look at the army supply, it's 64 to 37, so it's like he's almost doubled it.
Yeah, Robobay is in production here for RagnaroK, or for Hero, excuse me, and RagnaroK so smart, actually going for a Spire. And this could just be him trying to find a permanent solution to the Warp Prism and the Oracle that are on the map right now. But this could also be him anticipating that the follow-up from Hero is naturally going to be Disruptors to deal with what would almost otherwise inevitably be a Roach timing, right? So, nice play here from RagnaroK. I'm liking what we're seeing from him so far here in game number 2.
Now, the truth is that, like, you know, we thought this was going to be some kind of a cool timing attack, and it was. It didn't really do much of anything. It's kind of turned into instead like a Warp Prism harass build. It's going to be a difficult next phase of this game, no doubt, for Hero. But it'll probably really come down to can he weather the storm and eventually get to the tech and the army setup that he needs. And if RagnaroK can muster the army that could just clobber Hero and end the game. That's kind of what we want to look for from here on out.
I feel like RagnaroK's army almost definitely should be able to take this on, but Hero with so much confidence actually moving out in the middle of the map. There's only 1 Disruptor with this, 1 more reinforcing. Perhaps Hero thinks he has to start to chip away at this Roach count, if at all possible. Warp Prism. Watching that to see if he tries to do any micro with a Disruptor. No connection there. Disruptor is going to work its way back. I can't believe Hero's actually pushing this so hard. I thought for sure he would be on the defensive.
Yeah, he's going to try to loop back around here from the bottom.
I suppose with the creep spread as weak as it is in the middle of the field, that does give Hero some room to maneuver.
I'm actually glad you pointed that out, State, because I almost wasn't really even following that for a little bit. Yeah, the creep spread is pretty abysmal.
Oh! Nice attempt there. First Disruptor did have to get it lifted up before connect to survive, but a couple of Roaches going down. Hero finding any damage that he can, and now the blink is done. Should be able to chase down some of these Roaches. Oh, try to set up a flank maybe. Those Warp Prisms, Disruptors, excuse me, I keep calling them Warp Prisms. They should be off cooldown very soon, but oh no, they get picked off on the ground.
There's another one here in the back. He needs to figure out where is the angle he can actually plant that Disruptor, get the shot.
Oh, nice hit.
Beautifully done. Is there enough bulk actually here for Hero? He's got some good shots off, but it just seems more and more like there might, no, there is, okay.
Wow.
I looked like for a second the Roaches were gonna collapse onto that. You know, you need to have, excuse me, you need to have good Disruptor shots, but you also need to have the meat, the kind of, the padding of that army, the Archons and the Stalkers to clean up the rest. It looks like he's got that, and this is gonna be miraculous. If he can actually pull through here, another insane connection.
And insane connections on both sides.
Yeah.
Hero's just finding value after value with these Disruptor hits. And
18 mutas. 18 mutas on the way.
That's where the army supply is. I was wondering, because RagnaroK's supply has spent at 140 for the longest amount of time. It hasn't really been coming up, but now the Muta switch in full swing, and Hero's going to have to find a solution to this very quickly. Right now he has 23 Stalkers with +1 ground weapons, +2 ground weapons about to finish. The Disruptors are able to recall out, but is Hero going to go for an attack, or is he just going to try and defend back at home? I think the window perhaps to go for a base trade, it's passed. Hero has to be on the defensive, but we've seen Mutas when they get to positions like this, 20 plus on the field, I mean, things just start to melt before them, whether it be stalkers, photon cannons, anything else. This is suddenly a very scary position here for Hero because he no longer has map control, and RagnaroK can kind of go unchecked back at home while harassing him.
And the problem is the mutas haven't really done a lot.
Not yet.
And the way I always see situations like this is if the mutas haven't done a lot right away, they're not going to do a lot later on. You know what I mean?
You say that, but we're about to get up to 33 mutas. When you get to counts like that, they can start to trade with stalkers like this, especially with Lings coming in here like so. I mean, these stalkers trading out with mutas. Right now, there are more mutas on the field than stalkers in total, so we can come into the main base here. That warp for these shield batteries and photon cannons will not be enough. They'll just buy a little bit of time. And now probes are starting to fall, and with even more mutas in production, I mean, just keep in mind,
this is wild,
the
man.
damage output that we've seen from these are unupgraded as of yet. +1 air weapons is going to finish soon. And things are going to get really scary here for Hero. RagnaroK right now at 200 supply.
Yeah, this is a wild game. I never really expected this is going to be just mass air. I guess if you don't have any Phoenixes, oh my God, the mutas can just come in here and snipe down these disruptors.
The muta's just so mobile, able to run circles around the stalker ball here of Hero, and even in a straight-up fight, I think RagnaroK might be able to take this, and yeah, he's going to commit to it. These stalkers getting belted.
Well, there's so many more stalkers coming. Is there any end to this number of stalkers? This is wild, man. Oh my God.
6 more stalkers getting warped in. Hero just trying desperately to stabilize here.
Can he just go try to kill him?
I don't think Hero can win a base trade against this. Oh. Not with RagnaroK's economy as powerful as it is. I mean, Hero's infrastructure back at home will just get eliminated so quickly, and RagnaroK can hide structures all across the map. And even these mutas can handle small forces of stalkers like this. But Tasteless, I think you're right. That's what Hero thinks his win condition is to go for the base trade. Let's see how it pans out.
This is crazy, man. Back at home, by the way, not much is being made. I see like a cannon. I think that we're about to see Hero die out. But the muta switch, I mean, that was super cool.
Yeah, the muta is just so powerful now. +1 air weapons is completed for them, and they are shredding through these stalkers, especially with the Lings on the ground. GG is called. We're all tied up 1-1 here in the Group B elimination match. After some insane games so far, easily my favorite series of the night. We're only done with game 2.
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way. Let's not forget how it started. It did start with a proxy I've never actually seen before. I've never casted that. And I don't know if I ever will again because I don't know how many more PVZs we're going to have here. And obviously, that's not a build that you can recycle back into a best of 3, right?
No.
But the fact that he shut down the proxy, it was a Gateway and Stargate, right?
Yeah, it was a Gateway and then a Stargate, yeah.
So the fact that he shut that down, that kind of led to an obtuse mid-game that RagnaroK fought well in and, closed that out with mass mutas. So that's going to be it, guys. This is the last map with these two. One of these guys is out. The other one goes on against Nightmare. Let's find out who it is.
2023 GSL Season 2. Mystery Gaming, RagnaroK. DKZ Gaming, Hero.
Okay, so he's going to block that first hatchery.
Timing so good there. RagnaroK with 295 minerals.
Yeah, it gets there right when it needs to be there. Really cool to see RagnaroK recover that game. It's funny, the muta play worked. It seemed like it might not, but One thing about when you get that many mutas, it just there's no way for the Protoss to also be attacking on your side of the map.
Yeah, you just can't win a base trade. The mutas are too efficient moving across the map, and especially with glaives, they can take down buildings surprisingly quickly.
Yeah, and also, you know, you can recall, you can blink, you can do all that, but the mutas are going to be killing workers and infrastructure on the way. So it was a really smart move there.
And keep in mind that RagnaroK, he threw down that Spire quite early in that game, minutes before he actually did the full muta switch. And I thought that was such a smart decision by him, knowing that Hero was going to have to go into Disruptors to defend against a Roach Ravager timing that he wouldn't otherwise have an answer to.
Right.
You know, as Protoss, you're forced really into that tech given how poorly the early game went. You don't have any Oracles. Your third base got canceled at, what, halfway done? It's extremely late. You have gateway units with very delayed Twilight Council upgrades. Disruptor is really the only solution to the Roach Ravager, so RagnaroK kind of preempted that. It's like, okay, I'm not even going to go for the timing. I'll kill whatever your counter is to the timing. And then he just waits for the perfect moment. He waits for Hero to truly commit to a lot of Disruptors on the field. And then once he feels like, okay, now I have enough of a resource bank, now my economy's strong enough, I can pump 18 mutas at a time and just put you on the back foot, he does it, and Hero has no answer. I mean, from that point on, Hero never really passed 140 supply again. It was just
exactly
a disaster from his position.
So, excuse me. So, you know, in this game, we've got the Stargate coming down here. It did end up being one of these games that was kind of like, or this could have been one of these games that was kind of like Game 1. Game 1, I think we really got to see Hero and how brilliant he is and how he kind of sees this whole matchup in a way that nobody in the world was quite looking at it like that. And again, we've got some very good Zergs in Korea, you know, for a long time that have just, you know, kind of dictated this matchup and made it look so difficult to play. But Hero's come out and is continuing on with that style that he's birthed, and proving how effective it is by you know, kind of, think of it as like the nimble Protoss. You know, it's all about blinking and setting up traps with the oracles and being mobile and reconfiguring your position. And when you see an opportunity, you can go in and you can get the kills and get the damage. And the moment it gets uncomfortable or it gets dicey, you get right back out.
Yeah, it's very fun to see, and I think we might have a little bit more of that here in game number 3. Is, if I'm not mistaken, that is the second or third oracle in production here for Hero. So leading quite heavily back into that Stargate play, adding gateways back at home. Would not be surprised to see him throw Nexus out, as this oracle taking a surprising amount of damage, all the way down to 25 HP. I'm just watching the production tab, and yeah, okay, so third oracle is in production. So keep in mind, that was the oracle count that we went up to in the previous game, or game 1, I should say, where we did see, as you said, the nimble toss, this blink stalker oracle style that we saw from Hero work so well, with a surprising twist in game 1, I have to say. I was not anticipating the carrier follow-up. It felt like something I would see.
Dude,
like
that was
a Brood War game or something.
You know, yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I'm like, really? You're going to just tech into carriers and snowball it?
But when the carriers got out on the side of the map, there was one queen, and the queen just dies. Hydralisk Den was halfway done.
It was crazy. Well, also, you know, normally losing queens here and there in rushes and pushes is unremarkable, right? We see it all the time. But then when the carriers come, you're like, oh, you don't have anything to fight this now. Now the carriers just close the game out.
All right, Oracle's coming in. This one dangerously low. Should get taken out as Hero's deciding to sacrifice that one to take down some additional drones. 4 in total falling as the Sport Crawler's a little bit late here for RagnaroK. Yeah, Hero just going right back into that third Oracle. As soon as one dies, he's like, nope, that's not the count I want. I need 3, not 2. I need to have enough energy for the Stasis Wards, the little plasma beams to protect my Stalkers, and Blink +1 already underway, so looking very similar to the style we saw in game number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised at all. I think Hero looks at, you know, what happened in game 1 and how much he dunked on RagnaroK. It says, yeah, why would I even, you know, it's fine to try that proxy, but like, why make it hard for yourself? If you can win just in a straight up game, just do that, you know?
Absolutely, and I also love these little maneuvers here by Hero. Knows that he killed some drones in the main base and some drones in the natural expansion, and so the odds of RagnaroK transferring a couple of drones for the third base is pretty high, so he swipes in between the natural and the third. Unfortunately, missed the rally, so wasn't able to catch any, but you're going to see how well he understands the game. Even picking off a queen here, just finding so much value here with these oracles. And he's so good also at just navigating exactly how much damage he can truly sustain on these units, because he's trading mostly shields, a little bit of hull for drones, for queens, for idle mining time from his opponent, and it's such a treat to see.
We've had a lot of drone kills with the oracles, by the way.
Yeah.
What am I looking at?
I think Hero.
I think it's like he's trying to stack these, but they just refuse to bunch up, so they're pushing each other out of the way and into the range of the queens.
I think he thought he put them all the way in the corner. It might have misclicked and just had them a little bit short.
The bottom of the map clicking down there is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's always,
like
it's always weird.
Stays, it's like how much room is actually down there.
I think it's like the delete key that can rotate the camera. We could really get in the corner and
or
can't be funky if you don't use that.
Am I crazy? Yeah,
maybe it is.
Yeah. Me and Artosis had a joke a long time ago about like the one pro gamer who like plays like with a rock on top of that key and is like really good at only seeing the game at a different angle. Like, it's just
I remember way back in the day when I played when I used to stream StarCraft 2, sometimes I would play fully zoomed in and hold that thought. Actually, is RagnaroK here was going for a very cheeky. That was like what 10, 12 banelings morphing in.
A bit cavalier to make that out there. I just want to point out we saw him lose to ByuN for the same situation. He morphs banelings too close.
Yeah, look at this by the way. Hero right here on the Zelnanga watchtower setting up a gateway and a pylon. So there's gonna be a fast reinforcement point without a warp prism, which means there's gonna be even more units here for Hero. And RagnaroK coming in from the flank is able to get a nice surround, but there are these 3 oracles here, so the Lings, they're just getting mopped up on the floor. 5 more stalkers coming in to reinforce. This could quickly snowball out of control for the Zerg.
There's a lot of Lings coming in here. He's not quite able to get that surface area.
Oh, yeah, this is not looking quite as good for Hero here. The Link's getting a nice surround. The Oracle's quite low on energy, in fact, as the trade is a lot more even than Hero would have liked.
He's even swinging them around in the front, trying to just get them to soak up some extra damage. You know, there might actually be enough Stalkers. Hold on a second.
I think Hero's going to win this battle, but RagnaroK, with a lot of reinforcements coming, should be able to stabilize this game. It might be hanging on a thread, actually, with that Link forward, picking off one more queen. Might even be able to get the other one, as Roaches now, the rally has come in. 16 Roaches in total on the field. A lot of Lings are needed here for RagnaroK. I want to see that production tab and see how many are coming out. 20, it seems, in total, but I think there's +1 ground weapons here. And Hero, he's so smart. He knows right now Roaches are not the threat. So he does one round warp in of Zealots.
Yeah,
those are going to 2-shot the Lings instead of 3-shot them with +1 ground weapons.
He's big braining it, for sure, man.
Those Lings already cleaned up. Now it's just Roaches. Hero might have too much.
Yeah, I think this is the tipping point. I think we're going to have a rematch. A PvP coming up next.
Hero playing this one so well. Even with a suboptimal engagement, he's just able to ride the momentum and make some killer calls, as RagnaroK's still doing everything in his power to fight back. Army supply is still in RagnaroK's favor, but keep in mind that is mostly Hero and Roaches, and these Stalkers are doing such a good job of whittling them down constantly. Yeah, it's basically a gateway all-in at this point. 21 Stalkers in total. That's it, GG. Hero's going to advance to the final match.
Hell yes, PvP.
What a series here between Hero and RagnaroK.
Hero, again, still looks like he lost the game when we put him on camera.
I mean, you could tell the pressure is really high on him right now.
You know, I mean, he's really having to work. But, hey, he brought out that PVC style that I think we're all in love with. You know, just kind of eking out that damage, taking fights where he can, using those oracles to chew up the Lings and soften the defense and lay traps. RagnaroK's out, man. I mean, you know, this is a guy who, over the course of 4 years, we saw develop into a titan of Zerg. But this year is not his. Guys, short break. Coming up next, Nightmare vs. Hero, the rematch to see who goes on to the round of 8.
Nothing compared to the team. My gang, we had to go hard. We came up with nothing prepared but a dream. No plan, we knew how to work, knew how to fall in love with the pain. No cap, when we on the field, we making them fall in love with the game. Gang, we go to war, we ain't gonna train. Keep 100, we go all the way. 11 hours and we call it a day. Up at 7, do it all again. And that's my team. Any other team, we showing them up. The only direction we going is up. The only reflection of gold is us. Just think on my back, I got the front, we move as a unit. come for. You call it extra time, but we just call it an encore. Been ready to rumble, and we bringing it straight to your front door. Me and the team gon' leave you beat up, bullied, and dunked on. Ain't nothing we gonna run from. We get whatever we come from. Stepping away, and we gonna leave you beat up, bullied, and dunked on. Beat up, bullied, and dunked on. All our position is done for. Beat up, bullied, and dunked on. Finish whatever we start. We ain't afraid of a battle, we run walls. The team go, then we gon' leave you dunked on. Beat up, bullied, and dunked on. All our position is done for. Beat up, bullied, and dunked on. If you know, you know. Got victory state of mind, and you can't break the mold. Yeah, I'm with my team, we ain't about to fold. If we in it, we gon' win, and that's my ride or die. Ain't nothing we gonna run from. We get whatever we come from. Stepping away, and we gonna leave you beat up, bullied, and dunked on. Beat up, bullied, and dunked on. All our position is done for. Beat up, bullied, and dunked on. Finish whatever we start. We ain't afraid of a battle, we run walls. The team go, then we gon' leave you dunked on. Beat up, bullied, and dunked on. All our position is done for. Beat up, bullied, and dunked on. Rep the colors, rep the numbers, rep each other. We gon' leave you dunked on.
Pull up to the Pentagon swinging. That's all heat that I'm bringing. Lay lines got me on the main lines. I'm the main figure with the main sign. Whole squad down for me, that's that naturally. You can't crown the beast. They might blast at me, that's that blasphemy. They step backs for me. Dark night is coming. Y'all better start running. Y'all see me coming. Y'all better start running. Dark nights is coming. Y'all better start running. Y'all see me coming. Let's go, it's about to get crazy. Let's go, it's about to get crazy. Let's go, it's about to get crazy. Lights out. Hit you where it hurts, lights out. I'm a legend, it's a curse, lights out. You can get it cause you know what I'm about. Money long, I'ma run it up. Big bags, I'ma run it up. Gold status and I'm coming up. Hey, big tags, let me sum it up. Dark night is coming. Y'all better start running. Y'all see me coming. Y'all better start running. Dark nights is coming. Y'all better start running. Y'all see me coming. Y'all see me coming. Let's go, it's about to get crazy. 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 Let's go, it's about to get crazy.
Blurred skies, red eyes, can't get enough of it. My dream is your nightmare. You'll see me coming for you. I'm coming for you. You better run now. The moon is out now.
우주급 텐션, 최고의 토킹, 핫식스 터킨.
너도 탐세봐 탐세로.
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성 사이다 제로.
여름이 왔다. 마음껏 청량하자. 청량한 순간에 언제나 칠성 사이다.
우주급 텐션, 최고의 토킹, 핫식스 터킨.
Round of 16, Group B. Hero, Nightmare, RagnaroK, ByuN. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live, 2023, GSL Season 2.
This is it, guys. We are going to end this evening with the rematch. Hero played out of his mind versus RagnaroK. He beat him. He's here now. Nightmare, he did lose to ByuN, but let's not forget, he beat Hero. He beat Hero 2-0. They were pretty one-sided games. But can he do it 2 more times? Did he spend all of his strats in that best of 3?
I'm sure he has more tricks up his sleeve. The question that I have is whether Hero's going to be able to adjust from that best of 3 to this one and be ready for him, because there were moments, even when Hero was losing against Nightmare, where you can see that he did have the edge in some facets of his game. Anytime they had big engagements, you could always feel like Hero was controlling his units a little bit better. He was always navigating his army in a position to set up those big arcs when he needed to. Oftentimes painting Nightmare into a corner, even when Nightmare had the advantage, but Nightmare, just through superior decision-making, better builds, able to deliver the 2-0 win, he's gonna have to lean on that really hard here. He's gonna have to try and outsmart Hero yet again if he wants to beat him again in this best of 3.
2023, GSL Season 2. DKZ Gaming, Hero. Club NV, Nightmare.
So look, I mean, Hero is the guy coming in today. I actually thought he was going to get out first. You know, maybe I haven't wrapped my head around, you know, how much the skills have kind of shifted as far as who's on top. But, you know, I did season 1 kind of talking about how, you know, it might very well be a Hero Championship, a Hero Finals, maybe a Hero, you know, Final 4 at the minimum. Now, Hero still looks good, but what a story it would be if Nightmare won here. I mean, oh my God.
That would be crazy.
That would be wild. So I'm not against it. I'm going to be happy with it no matter who advances. But again, I gotta repeat it. I mentioned this in the first best of 3, but we're all the way to the final best of 3 of the day now. Nightmare has always been, like, you know, in Star Trek, they have all the main characters, and then there would be like this one extra guy you never saw before in an episode, and he gets killed like when they land on the planet.
That's Nightmare.
That was
every
Nightmare.
Codas.
Yes, it was like They'll be like, who's this guy? Oh, all right, he gets zapped, he dies, and that creates some kind of drama. That, you know, Nightmare does not normally go deep in GSLs. He's normally, he's good, but, you know, and he can hang, he can qualify for a GSL, which is a feat of its own, right?
Especially now that it's top 16.
Yeah. But he's played really well today. I think he got a little bit shaky against ByuN, and that if he does advance, that's something that I worry about, is he might not be as good against Terran. But PvP is a real tricky, mind-gamey matchup, and the fact that he was able to duke it out with Hero and 2-0 crush him is exciting.
It's very exciting. I'm curious to see exactly what the build order plan is going to be here from Nightmare, because remember, going all the way back to game number 1, he did that proxy gateway in the middle of the map.
He's doing this again now too, by the way.
Yeah,
pylon
here.
Again.
Unfortunately for him, it's Stalkers coming out instead of Adepts, and so the question is whether Hero's actually going to reveal that he made these Stalkers, and it looks like no. He wants this pylon to finish so that he can kill it. Instead, it will finally get canceled there, but a nice play there by Hero. If Nightmare had allowed that pylon to finish, it would have been very bad for him, and now he gets a confirmation on the Stalkers as they should be able to get that probe. Yeah. Do take it out. And double sentry here for Nightmare, but yeah, back to the point I was making earlier, I'm very curious about how he's going to be navigating his build orders and his strategies over the course of this best of 3 series, because I do feel like despite him winning 2-0 in the first match of the day, he's a little bit outclassed, especially when it comes to control, and he's going to have to find his edge somewhere else in the game, you know?
Yeah.
In the first series, it was with his build orders, it was with his decision-making. Second series might have to be something like that again.
So he's got a little bit of pressure on over here. The battery's ready to try to repair this. We do have the fork in the road here. The path is being chosen for each side. For the Red Protoss Nightmare, he's going to go for the Twilight Council, whereas Hero is going for the Robo. Now, the Twilight Council alone doesn't really tell you what tech it is. It could be TTs, it could be Blink.
I think it's going to be TTs, Taze. Look at this pylon over here in the top right. And Hero, are you scouting for this? He might be. Is that bird? Is the Artosis bird? It's yapping again.
Where is it? I don't see the
chirping.
bird.
It was there at the ramp. It told him. It told the Stalkers.
Skill.
They were ready to go home.
Afraid of late game. Can't macro.
It was chirping at the ramp. You see that bird? You better start scouting, man.
That bird's gonna tell, man.
All right, so that does get shut down there. Nightmare queues up Blink. I don't know if DT actually was going to be the option, or if we just want to have a pylon on the map. But these Adepts should be able to work their way into the main base. Oh no, hold that thought, actually. Shield battery able to pop in. Unfortunately for Hero, he actually had 2 probes that were still right next to the ramp, so the Adepts were still able to get damage.
So, you know, the Warp Prism coming. This should prompt the rush to start. Does he actually have a material advantage to try to push this as he comes in?
Well, for Hero, I feel like there is a chance. Now, it is a little bit more difficult for him because his opponent didn't go for robotics. I think Hero would be happier if Nightmare Say was producing an Immortal right now, because there's a chance that if you do push into the natural ramp there as Hero, you can section that 1 unit off and kill it. But with the Phoenix Scout hallucinated from the Sentry, he gets a look in there at the natural expansion, sees the Stalker and the Sentry count is very high for Nightmare, so Blink is most likely going to be the tech of choice, and he does not want to overextend, because if you take a bad fight against a Blink player on their side of the map, you are not getting home.
All right, he is coming from behind over here. He slipped it undetected, and this can pry the, you know, the army that's in the front of the second base here out. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he actually had more army out there to attack on the front. No. But this is fine. You get 5 kills, and you know there's a big cavity back here that you can kind of hang out over. So far, so good. I'm a little bit worried right now, by the way, for Nightmare. I mean, taking a 3rd Nexus right now with Immortals out for Hero. Unless I'm missing something, I mean, this seems to be pretty straightforward. I think you could probably kill this with a push.
I think you need Blink on Hero's side to actually be able to levy the odds, or balance the odds. So Hero probably going to take a 3rd base of his own, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did basically what you're talking about, stay on a low probe count, build up an army, and then try to go do a timing attack, especially after killing all those workers from Nightmare earlier. As look at the production tab, Blink now about halfway done, and once that Blink is finished, Hero's going to be very comfortable moving across the map because then he can really go tit for tat with a force of Nightmare being as Blink Stalker heavy as it is.
Okay, so he's coming up through the top now. We've got the Hallucinated Phoenix that's going to glide through and just do a quick scout, see what exactly is going on.
Hero still on 3 gases. Actually, both players still on 3 gases, so really emphasizing unit production on both sides.
And I think this is the time to pounce for Hero. I think he's going to move out, and he is going to... I don't know. I don't know that Nightmare can survive this. I mean, I don't see Immortals with this army, and I mean, there's already a decent amount. You have 2 Immortals, in fact, over here.
Yeah, wow. Hero actually blinking to get the superior arc here on the top side, but Shield Battery being very useful here on the ramp. You gotta be careful.
Oddly placed sentry there. It's going to be in the front. Oh, a blink on top. Hold up, hold up.
Whoa. Nightmare coming in with that blink right when the Immortal finishes, able to take both Immortals out of Hero's army as Hero had no reinforcements here. And now recalling back home, I guess, yeah, there's Adepts coming in.
I was about to say, what is happening here? Oh my God, immediately shuts that down. The Adepts are on the loose though in the main, trying to get as many kills as they can.
Yeah, some nice picks here by these Adepts. I was wondering this whole time where that Warp Prism was because it wasn't reinforcing the front line there for Hero, but instead able to get 7 probes in total between those 2 bases. But keep in mind, losing 2 Immortals for Hero means that his army composition not as powerful as it once was. He's a little bit ahead in probes right now. Stalker count's dead even at 19 to 19. Hero is opting to go for Charge Zealot a little bit faster than Nightmare here. Nightmare actually, in fact, has not even started it. I thought that he for sure would have had that in production already. As maybe Nightmare now is going to be the one that's looking to make a timing work with Blink Stalkers.
All right, so the Stalkers are going to come down here and chase this. And I got to say, Nightmare really can hang with the very best here in PvP. I mean, it's being proven again here in this game. Another drop's going to come in, excuse me, from the top. And, you know, one thing Hero's been very effective with since the very beginning is he's always keeping the probe count just a little bit lower.
Yeah, these depth drops have been so valuable in that sense. And Nightmare, although he is poking and prodding here with these, another recall coming in for 2 Adepts. So want to lose as few units. Was that, wait, what got recalled there? Was it just like these 2 units?
Yeah, I think he recalled like 2 Stalkers. It was a very weird moment.
Recall, like, the animation popped. I'm like, wait, is this more units than it was before?
I thought for a second it was the Warp Prism from like earlier that might have had the Adepts, but I guess not.
Yeah, so DT tech coming in now for Hero. It's about halfway done. Nightmare, he doesn't have that much detection on the field. And actually,
oh, what? What is happening? Oh.
Yeah, Hero is warping in over here on the pylon. I feel like Nightmare missed this. I think his attention is elsewhere right now as he absolutely could have caught those units warping in. And now, yeah, pivoting back towards the bottom left side.
By the way, we're going into late game PvP here. Is he just going to blink right in?
Tasteless, Nightmare has 0 observers on the field right now. That Dark Shrine,
oh my God.
I think it's done. All right, Blink coming in here from Hero, pouncing on these Stalkers. Waiting to see the reinforcements from Hero. If you can recognize there's no observers here for Nightmare, this could turn disastrous very quickly. Oh man, he's going for it.
This is wild. Nightmare trying to fight back. The Immortal's still over here, able to deal some more damage. And another wave of Zealots is going to come in here. He's going to have this observer coming. He's going to see that there is no detection over this.
Yeah, surprisingly, no Dark Templar warped in just yet here for Hero, just warping in Charge Zealots instead and often go for that. I actually am wondering whether the Dark Shrine, for whatever reason, might have gotten canceled because
yeah,
you would think
get it.
that it was halfway done. You would think that by now it would have been warped in, right?
I mean, I'm as confused as you. I was, you know, trying to set up that moment for a while. Is it not
think
here?
He canceled it. I don't see it in the main base, which is surprising because, again, there's been no observers on the field here for Nightmare whatsoever. So even if the Dark Shrine had gotten scouted.
By the way, Nightmare is going to be on 4 bases, and we haven't really seen Hero push in and actually break the 3rd base position for Nightmare.
I still can't believe there's no Dark Shrine on the field. That would have been a game changer here. Instead, Hero blinking in once again is able to focus down that first Immortal. Now, Nightmare is warping in some Adepts to try and soften the blow of these Charged Zealots. And okay, Hero committing, blinking in, taking down the Shield Battery, Force Fields as well, sectioning off these Stalkers as more units are getting warped in. Probes now falling on the front line. Does Hero have enough to break him?
Yeah, he's just going to continue to try to come in here and hit this. It seems like Nightmare could just barely have enough. This Immortal's still doing a lot of work, but I think Nightmare might be able to blink back. He's going to be able to take out that Immortal and everything else that came with it.
Oh my goodness, Nightmare just has just enough stalkers able to snowball it. Hero loses game number one. I can't believe it. I still want to know what the story is with that Dark Shrine, because I feel like 2 DTs, one in the main base, one in the natural. I mean, of course, Hero can't know that there is no observers yet on the field, but
yeah, we saw the observer go in there, and that's when I thought, okay, well, this will you know, ollie up the DTs to come right there, but they weren't.
I feel like we must have.
And it's a long game. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, I get canceling tech early on, but like,
I feel like we must have missed something. There has to be some reason why Hero canceled it. Maybe it was getting scouted. Maybe it was, I can't imagine it being a feign, but also he was low on gas, so maybe he just thought he needed a couple more stalkers and he could break.
Yeah, well, clearly Hero kept thinking he was going to be able to break Nightmare the whole game, and Nightmare was obviously in a very comfortable spot where he was able to just kind of carry the game on. Can Nightmare do it one more time? Hero has not been able to take a game off this guy. Nightmare alone may be the reason why Hero is not going to go deep into another season of GSL Codas.
It's a crazy story right now here in Group B. All right, match point. Nightmare one match away from advancing.
Crazy.
DKZ Gaming, Hero. Club NV, Nightmare.
Nightmare looking so good right now in PvP. 3-0 against Hero so far today.
I'm really proud of him, man. I mean, this is crazy to be beating Hero. You know, Hero, we don't really talk about his PvP that much, but he's so good at it. I thought he was the best PvP in Korea, to be honest.
Well, I mean, control is such an important part
of
Protoss versus Protoss. As some Nightmare fans here in the audience. It's just insane to me that Nightmare, I mean, not only did he win Series number 1, and now he's one map win away from advancing to the round of 8 here against Hero, but he's done it without dropping a single map.
It does seem like Hero's theory is a little bit off. Like, everything he's trying to do isn't working at all. Like, when we saw that push coming, something in the game is telling Hero that this is the time to crush the player, and it's happened a couple times, and his pushes are not working. Nightmare is just able to hold. And that's, I think, what is maybe the most remarkable thing at all, is like, that was a late game PvP. PvP is a shorter matchup than some of the other matchups, guys. But the fact that he held the push on 4 bases while Hero's on 3, like, committed to ending it, is wild.
I really thought he had a chance to break him too, especially when I saw the Dark Shrine at halfway done. I thought, okay, this is going to be too many fires for Nightmare to put out in time. Eventually the push is going to be able to break when Nightmare has to section off forces, you know, cancel Immortals, start building observers and deal with it, and then it just never came through. And I mean, I'm gonna have to go home and watch these replays once they get released to truly understand what happened there.
Yeah, well, you know, it's if you had told me, right, like, let's say I couldn't cast today, but I asked what happened. You say Nightmare beats Hero, guess how the game looks. I would have gone like, oh, proxy robo immortal stalker push, or, you know, it's something where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like it's some one base thing, right? So, but instead it's like, my God, I mean, this is very complex PvP that Nightmare is just kind of coming out on top of.
Yeah, Nightmare's always been the kind of guy that can just really play all styles. He doesn't only all in. You know, sometimes we get these players that can qualify, especially Protoss players that can qualify for Codas, but don't get very deep. But they can only really macro and play defensively, or they can only really play hyper-aggression and cheese. And Nightmare, he's never been that guy. He's always been able to mix it up. it always feels like there's been a little bit of a skill difference between him and the other top Protosses that were able to advance deeper in the Code S, but now here he is, one map away, and oh my goodness, this Oracle actually spotting the proxy pylon here from Nightmare. There's Nightmare building another gateway back at home.
I don't know about
Wants
that
to get some
pylon
pressure
spot.
done.
I feel like you're going to get spotted with an Oracle no matter what there. It's in the path of the beeline.
Yeah, I mean,
the base.
maybe if the Oracle, maybe if it's built over here by the top left gas geyser, then it doesn't catch it, but
yeah,
it is a little bit questionable. Hero instead just walks down and takes that out, no problem at all. You got to think that Nightmare is similar to game number 1 in their first series, wanted to do just some light 3-gate pressure, but instead just going to go build a Twilight Council behind this, play nice and safe back at home, and really solid stuff all around so far. Let's see if Hero can find some damage here with these 2 Oracles.
Uh-oh. Yeah, he does get 2 probes, not bad. Oracle's a little bit bruised here.
Well, it's a couple more as well with these Adepts. That is nice play. 5 in total. All right, better than it went. I was a little scared for this, the Oracle that right now is stuck in the corner with about 1/3 of its HP left. I thought that one might be going down as Blink has started for both players at pretty much parallel times.
Yeah, and so it's just going to be Stalker build-up. That probably means this game can't end anytime soon. I mean, both players are basically playing safe defensive, although Hero is coming out with a couple pokes and prods here with those Oracles.
Yeah, I imagine if Hero's able to get some more damage done with these Oracles, which will be hard to do considering how high the Stalker count is. And of course, I say that he just comes in and gets 4 more probes somehow. I mean, just Hero things. I mean, you trade the Oracle for that at this point, I think, and you're quite happy about it. 34 probes to 27 is a nice differential to have. And maybe this gives Hero the confidence to, if both these players reach 3 bases, actually go for a timing. And if it's pure Blink versus pure Blink, this 5+ worker lead might translate into, a handful more Stalkers that is what breaks the camel's back. All right, so Hero now posturing over by the gold base at the top left. I think he might be going for it. I saw you start choking there. I was like, what are your thoughts on this, Taste?
I just choked just sitting here. I just choked on my own spit. This is a dangerous job. You guys don't understand.
We're also on the second deck. We could easily fall to our doom.
I choked on my spit and then, all right, I'm back. Oh my God.
Yeah, so.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hero moving across during all of this. He's not building a Robo. There's not a Warp Prism underway. He moved his probe across the gold base to what would be a 4th base over here at the 9 o'clock position. So this is not using any investment into minerals and gas for a Warp Prism, for a robotics facility. It means that Hero's going to have even more Stalkers. He's just relying on this pylon, and now here he comes in. Nice early engagement here for Hero. It's a fantastic start. Should be able to pick off some of these sentries as well, but instead, focusing down Stalkers. Nightmare, though, got to be careful.
Yeah,
pushing out across like this.
Guardian Shield, man, he's got the sentry for most of that fight.
Oh,
It's such a good spot. He's just closing in on him.
Yeah, he's closing in. I mean, the 4-Stalker warp in here is so delayed. Now, finally, the reinforcements do come in, but the Stalker count's only 3 in advantage here for Hero, and Nightmare feeling confident enough to actually throw down a Nexus, I think. There's the probe. He's considering it. Might instead opt to expand down to the bottom side. Very important decision coming out from Nightmare and where to expand here and exactly what timing. Behind this, Hero already throwing down that 3rd Nexus and this Forge, as I think he might have gotten spooked a little bit by Nightmare's defense.
Yeah.
Might not think he can end the game.
But, it's the same story, isn't it? It's like every time it's like Nightmare, Hero comes out and then Nightmare, basically parries the attack.
It feels like Hero is trying to skill check a player that is worse for him time and time again, but Nightmare is actually able to keep up.
I like the way that you put that. Yeah, he's like doing these skill checks and it's kind of backfiring. It's actually sometimes putting Hero in a worse position.
But I like the way that this one has gone because, especially given the way, map number 1, map number 2, and then here in the final set, map number 3 have played, Nightmare is kind of in the mindset that Hero is just going to try to kill me, right? This has been the MO for Hero throughout this entire day, both in Series 1 and in Series 2. We have another attack coming in, just trading a couple of Stalkers out, but Hero is leaning into that thought process from his opponent by taking this faster 3rd base, getting the faster Forge. He's starting upgrades, Nightmare hasn't yet. He's getting charged on his Twilight Council. Nightmare still just sitting on Blink. Because Nightmare right now, he's in defensive mode, and if he gives Hero a little bit too much time to build up like this back at home, then suddenly it's going to be Hero who can just kind of play the more defensive game, even adding in. Oh, I was going to say a second robo. It's actually the first robo. I forgot for a moment that. Oh, Hero, you sly dog.
I love this.
Doesn't even need the gas,
He's
just
a
going
bad
for the mid
person.
we get the bird yapping again over there in the corner. But just the way that this one's going out, it feels like, especially with Nightmare adding in, Glaives and 3 gateways. Yeah, he's going to go for an all-in, I think.
Well,
Glaives.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind that Hero's double expanding, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think the observer's shown the Nexus at the far right, or if he did, I missed it. There it is.
Oh my goodness. When
So,
you
like,
said double expand, I thought you meant the triangle third and the
No,
gold.
no,
No, he's going up to 5 bases.
I think this is like exactly what you would do to lose to a timing attack, is make 2 more Nexuses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to try to call it too soon, but I mean, I don't think the numbers are there, right?
It should be Nightmare's best shot because of the double expansion, but the thing is,
the only way that this could go better for Nightmare is if Hero made another Nexus on top of it.
Or maybe even another one on top of that. It takes all the Nexuses on the map. But, you know, even with Glaives coming in like this, the Stalker count for Hero is high enough. You know, Charge Zealots against Glaives, they're not that bad. I mean, yes, the Glaive Adepts, they do have that bonus damage, but when you're mixed in with complicated armies like this, the Zealots are also going to be absorbing shots from Stalkers and from Immortals, which is less overall damage on your army. So it does balance out a little bit. And with Hero also defending back at home, he's going to have a bit of an advantage in that sense. And also keep in mind the upgrades. Hero right now, he has +1. Nightmare doesn't have a Forge yet. Hero's getting +2. So any time that waits, or that Nightmare waits, I should say, could come back to buy them. Now, I understand wanting to reach critical mass here with these Adepts, but it is truly all going to come down to this push for Nightmare. I don't know if Hero realizes the severity of the situation right now, Tasteless.
He's not seeing. Okay, it's like the last possible second he spots that.
Oh, man. This is a dangerous situation. I would not be surprised if the Shades
the
came in.
Of all units, that's the unit that gets stuck on the outside? The backbone of your army?
Oh, this is crazy. 25 Adepts right now on the field, more being warped in. And there is an Archon and a shield battery. Overcharge gets popped on that battery. A lot of firepower here for Nightmare, though. This is a nice angle for him to attack into, especially with these 2 Immortals now blinking in to set up a concave. That's going to cue Hero in to try and attack, but this force field doing so much work.
I mean, it seems like there should just be enough here for Nightmare. It does seem like these Adepts are kind of getting log jammed in the back, and the Immortals are going down. The angle is actually so much better for Hero. I can't believe it. I think he's actually going to win this game.
I think Hero's been able to do it. That was a dangerous attack, though. Hanging on a thread. The probes needed to get pulled, but Hero able to hold on, and Nightmare, although the supplies right now are even, is getting pushed back, and he's on 3 bases to Hero's 5, including the gold. No Forge upgrades to the +2 ground weapons of Hero, and I think Hero from this position, you just build a Warp Prism. He even has one on the map. You just push and win.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I really thought that was going to work.
It was close. It was very close.
He basically took a very bad fight on that ramp.
All right, well, Hero pushing now into the 3rd base. And
you know, Hero may ultimately still have a losing record versus Nightmare, but he wins this game. If he wins one more after this, he moves on. GG.
Yeah. Wow, what a game. This has been a fascinating series between these two.
It's
both
been a
in
fun
series
day.
number 1 and series number 2. I love that strategy from Nightmare. It was kind of a unexpected decision to go for a Glaives all-in on 3 bases. But it definitely caught Hero off guard and almost won him the game. It's just really difficult to make those timings work. As you said, coming into attack there at the 3rd base on the ramp, Adepts, they're prone to getting logjam behind those higher range Stalkers. It's hard to get a favorable concave unless you really fight on an open field, but Hero with a defender's advantage can kind of choose the battleground, so to speak, and just fight with the battery, use his Nexus to mitigate the concave a little bit. And after a very close game number 2, we're going to the final map of
This
Group
is
B.
it. This is the last game of the evening. I'm not sure what to make of all this. Again, that was such a weird... I'll have to go back and actually look at that game, because that game was so weird.
Same with Gresvin. It's just been an interesting series between these two.
And I mean, I don't think it's crazy for me to think if you make 2 Nexuses and the other guy's going for a timing attack, the guy that makes 2 Nexuses loses, but here we are. Anyways, guys, Game 3 starts now.
2023 GSL Season 2. DKZ Gaming, Hero.
A lot of fan support for Hero. What a story for Nightmare, though.
Club NV, Nightmare.
This is a guy that, in the past 3 years, competing in international tournaments and home story cups and IEMs, here in the GSL as well, has had a hard time of getting deep in tournaments. And you know, regardless of the way the results go today, he will have a winning record versus Hero here in Group B. He might not advance, but right now, just on the precipice, you can just see how much he's been improving over the years. It's inspiring, really. I mean, that kind of dedication just to continue to keep fighting and fighting to get better.
It's impressive, man. By the way, both players going for Pylon at their natural and Gate at their natural.
Yeah, on a map like Altitude with its high ground expansion, it's very difficult to actually break this with an all-in.
Very, very enticing to take another base right away.
Yeah. It took a long time for Protoss to figure out exactly how to do this against, especially, you know, a proxy robo all-in, for example.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Stargate units are just strong enough that, you know, shield batteries, some units on the high ground,
You've
board
got
race getting
that
pumped.
sustain.
Yeah, I mean, Vision just plays such a crucial role that you really can't go for the fast expand. And now it's actually Hero doing the pylon block.
They're both doing
yeah,
it
they're
to
both
each
doing
other.
it, in fact.
They're both going to force each other into one-base play.
Just ends up with Immortals on the map
yeah,
anyway. They're both throwing down pylons again. Hero cancels that one, throws down another. As I mean, both these players honestly just being really mean, messing up each other's build orders to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, whatever they can do to trip each other up.
And now the big difference here is that Nightmare had pumped out a Zealot and now is chrono boosting a Stalker, whereas Hero, I don't think he made a Zealot out of his Gateway. I think perhaps just the Stalker. He opted for the, oh no, I'm stand corrected, Zealot's right there. But opting for a faster Stargate here is Hero. So he's going to be teching a little bit more quickly than his opponent.
Well, we are finally going to get those Nexuses up.
It took a minute.
Yeah, it took it.
Almost would have liked a gentleman's agreement. Just like,
Yeah,
could just both expand, like, not make each other miserable. I mean, does this really have to be as hard as it is?
I know. It was a down and dirty game there early on. And so, look, I mean, there's a lot of different games that can come from here. We do have an Oracle coming for Hero. And it's going to be a little bit of time for that. But that's very ordinary play here from Hero.
Yeah.
And we're going to wait and see what exactly that tech is going to be here from Nightmare. I don't believe he's revealed that yet.
Shield battery just now morphing in here on the high ground, so no hull damage on these units. Oracle out on the map will try to find some damage. Of course, Nightmare back at home does have a shield battery already up in the main base, so that can mitigate the damage from one Oracle at least. Second Oracle is in production, and Twilight Council, tech of choice here for Nightmare.
Yeah, and so this is basically the tech that we had in a previous game as well with these two.
Yeah.
Although, you know, funnily enough with these two guys, it does seem like early game is inconsequential when these two players play to how the rest of the game looks, where I feel like a lot of PvP, normally that's all you have to follow.
I think game one was the only match where the early game really did matter. When we had that proxy 3-gate in the middle, I felt like Nightmare was able to get an advantage out of that one because Hero just kind of locked himself in on one base play when he really should have expanded. But yeah, besides that, really, it's just been the mid-game decision-making out of both of these guys that has decided the fates, decided the outcomes of each of these games. And it's one of the things that makes it so much more interesting to watch. I mean, PvP as a matchup has evolved so much over the years. I remember back, even the early days of Legacy of the Void, it just being one-base battles, non-stop, even with like pylon rushes and stuff, and Heart of the Swarm. I mean,
yeah, it was crazy.
Improved so much. Personally, my favorite mirror matchup to cast. I think you
love
said
PvP, yeah.
pretty much the same thing.
I always find every game, you know, so different and interesting. But, you know, going on in this game, these two guys have proven to, you know, pretty easily both end up in late game PvP over and over again. So there's going to be the Robotech starting up here now for Nightmare as things are going to continue to develop. And it kind of unsurprisingly in the final game of our show tonight with, you know, these two players in the rematch, it's been an extraordinarily passive game. Nobody's really done anything just yet. I think there's a lot of respect being given on both sides here.
Yeah, especially on altitude. There really isn't too much to get done as both players just powering up. Blink research about halfway for both, and Hero going to be the first player to go for an expansion. Nightmare following suit right behind him will be about 15, maybe 30 seconds behind should he throw down that Nexus. And although we are getting here in a little bit of a different way, relatively mirrored compositions, I think, are in store for us, with both players going for Blink, going for these robotics facilities, these third bases. Nightmare just with a slight advantage in the Stalker count, and Hero, a couple more workers.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have much else happen for the time being. Nobody can really leave an attack into the other one just yet, and so it's basically an arms race, although the build order patterns are slightly different here. We do have the Forge coming here for Hero, which is another nod that he will probably not be doing much for a little bit.
It's a nice stasis ward, although nothing really is going to come of this. It still is nice. Catches 5 Stalkers right there in the middle of the map. And I'm watching this production tab, and we still have no Forge for Nightmare, which makes me think that he's going to be committing quite heavily to a Blink Stalker attack, if I'm not mistaken. There really hasn't been any development on his side tech-wise or upgrade-wise for the past couple of minutes, and even the probe count, you know, it was about a 4-worker lead for Hero in the past, and that's grown, which means that Nightmare is not prioritizing worker production quite as much as his opponent is. So for Nightmare, if he does decide to commit to this attack, he's really gonna have to get something done, and yeah, with a Warp Prism now in production, I really do think that's the way this is gonna go. And this is going to be a bit scary here for Hero. You see him throwing down a lot of gateways right now. He has almost half the Stalker count, 10 to 19, Hero versus Nightmare, as he's opting to go into +1 ground weapons, Templar Archives, and Charge. But Nightmare, with really good control, might be able to get a lot of value out of these Blink Stalkers.
And so we have... yeah, definitely a little bit of a dangerous moment. I thought he might actually push out, but he's going to stay there for a little bit longer. Templar Archives coming here. Hero is really beginning to fill in the rest of that tech. And I do want to point out, you know, historically, we don't cast that many long PvPs. This has been a very funny day.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Think about how many PvPs you've seen where, like, they both have 4 bases. And it's like really rare, especially in GSL. So I'm really excited that we have a game that looks like this.
And I'm a little surprised back at home that Nightmare is going for a Templar Archives now and adding in Immortals, because I really thought, based on the way this one was shaping up, that he was going to gun for a timing attack, but now he's going for a Forge, and ground weapons level 1 already completed here for Hero. So the fact that Nightmare now is slowing down the game on his side makes me think that Hero is going to start to have a very good advantage, unless Nightmare can somehow find a way to begin to eke out value with these Blink Stalkers.
Yeah.
That really is his edge, is having 25 Blink Stalkers to the 13 of Hero. But as these armies continue to get bigger and better, you know, the player that has more Archons, more Charge Zealots, and better upgrades, which in this case is going to be Hero, will have the advantage overall. So it's a scary position now for Nightmare, especially with his 4th base getting canceled.
Yeah, that's a pretty big snipe, because that just changes the economic tempo so much. It was a snipe and not a trade. Wasn't like he had to bleed off a bunch of Stalkers to do that. So that's a pretty big moment. But you're 100% right, State. The reality is that once you have a more sophisticated army with Archons and Charge Lots and all that, the Stalkers are not as important.
All right, well, Hero is positioning outside of this 4th base. Has decided this wants to be the focal point of his strategy for the next few minutes.
The Hero, this is going to sound so basic, but it might just work. He might just want to wait for this Nexus to finish an attack and try to win the game.
It's possible.
Because he's already getting the perks from his 4th base, and so he should be able to muster just a little bit more. You can look at his supplies. He's like a little bit ahead. It's 97 army supply to 89.
He will have +2 ground weapons for a very short window against none of his opponent.
This might be like a very, very basic victory.
Yeah.
Where, you know, we've kind of built up to this moment. We're almost at 11 minutes. Whoa.
Nightmare, you do not want to move out right now. Be careful. Oh, these stasis wards also deadly. You can see Hero trying to bait him a little bit into them. One stasis ward catching the Stalkers will end the game, should it happen.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we got to see how the engage actually goes, but basically the Nexus is done. Normally that's the ideal time to then hit it, right? Because it's finished so you can kill it off, but it's also, you haven't gotten the benefits of the resources that you mine from it. He's maxed out. I mean, I don't know what else he would need to tee this up.
He wants to make some more disruptors. I think he's expecting Nightmare to also mostly be maxed out, and he hasn't seen any disruptors, especially with his Revelation. So that's probably going to be the key here for Hero. And actually, no, he's feeling confident enough to push down this ramp at least a little bit already. But once those disruptors enter the fray, it's going to be very hard for Nightmare to hold on. And Tasteless, Hero of the disruptors, the attack is commencing.
Yeah, he's moving in right now. And, you know, this is a very tight area. So, I mean, disruptor shots, it's going to be very difficult to try to avoid them.
Oh, that disruptor shot. I think it got sniped right there in the front, so wasn't quite able to connect. But the front line here for Hero is so powerful. So many Archons, so many Zealots. As we trade blows here, and now Hero with a +20 army supply advantage. As now disruptors for Nightmare have entered the field. Just one glancing shot on an Archon. The second shot misses. Warp Prism roving adventurously forward here. Might get focused down. Oh, it's a bait! The disruptor balls come in.
This is over. Hero is just going to topple Nightmare. Nightmare had an amazing run with his PvPs, but at the end of the day, Hero is the king, and he is going to be moving on into the round of 8.
It does look that way, Tasteless. More Warpins coming here for Nightmare, but his supply is dwindling. The 4th Nexus falls. The disruptor shot's very good. Nightmare might be able to live on a little bit more, but you can feel the momentum swinging right now with Hero on 5 bases to Nightmare on 3. A 40 supply advantage, a more nuanced army. The only thing he's really lacking right now in is the disruptors, and you got to think that Hero, 1 or 2 more Warpins, if he goes for it, he can win this game.
I mean, I think we're basically at the end here. I think Hero's just not overdoing it. He's just going to regroup. You can see he's orbiting around the outside. He said, "Are there any other Nexuses here?" No. Okay, then I really am about to end this game. And I think that's good. Instead of just feeding in and maybe overextending. Oh my word.
That's a nice catch there by Nightmare, but the supplies just truly tell the story. 177 to 125 is they're just trying desperately.
He just targets down the Nexus.
Wow. I mean, +2 ground weapons just coming through in space there. It goes down so quickly, and now Hero getting a good eye on where the disruptors are exactly. Links back, dodges that shot. Oh. Trading blows here.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to hype this. Oh my God!
Oh no! That was a big blunder there by Hero. A lot of Stalkers getting taken out.
That was so bad.
I mean, there is a world where Nightmare is able to stabilize here because it's so hard to attack into disruptors, but he's going to have to need a couple more wins like that.
I was literally about to be like, well, sorry guys, it's kind of hard to hype this because there's like almost no way to come back, and then all those Stalkers get blown up.
Still, at the end of the day, it's a 3-base economy here for Nightmare to the 5-base eco of Hero. Hero just firing on all cylinders right now, but some very bad unit movement, just to be frank about it.
He's getting a little bit clunky here at the end of this
okay, that's going to be a nice trade. He gets 2 disruptors back. But yeah, just a little bit hard. And I mean, it is very awkward trying to attack into a turtling Protoss in PvP with disruptors.
Yeah.
So you can't fault Hero much for this at all. I mean, he's one of the best in the world at taking these fights. And oh my goodness!
God, what is happening?
Might have jinxed that one, saying he's one of the best in the world taking fights as these disruptors blindside him completely. So many units getting taken out. The army supply is actually favoring Nightmare now somehow, Tasteless. I can't believe it. As he now blinks in, takes down more disruptors here for Hero.
There's more Zealots coming in over here. They are going to eventually take those Archons out, as weird as that is to say. I got to say, man, like, I think Hero could still win this, but like he needs to like focus in here for the next 2 or 3 minutes. Like you can do this, but like you need to like be very attentive. You can't phone this in.
What was once a gargantuan lead has been whittled down to a much smaller one, as also the Army upgrade differential has been closing. It's now +3 versus +2. Nightmare soon himself will have +3 ground weapons. It's 31 Stalkers to Nightmare to 10 for Hero, so his Army's way more microable. And that was a nice connection from Hero, but I'm getting increasingly scared about his position here, Tasteless, despite being up in supply. I mean, look at how microable this Army is here for Nightmare.
I mean, Nightmare has a huge Army here. And look, he's just not getting hit by these disruptor shots.
Oh my goodness,
dude,
another insane shot by Nightmare. Somehow Hero is getting the poor ends of these trades. Now charge lots are coming in. Nightmare's gonna have to kite back, and supplies for the first time in what feels like minutes have evened up. Nice disruptor shot there by Hero, getting a little bit of counter damage in, but only 3 Stalkers, 10 Zealots on the field for Hero to guard 1 disruptor. 23 Stalkers and 5 disruptors for Nightmare. What looked like it was GG in any moment has been blundered, and now Nightmare is knocking on Hero's door.
All right, he's going to keep coming forward here.
My goodness.
Oh my God, he's going to drop more Stalkers. Unbelievable.
Nightmare, I feel like he's just gaining so much momentum. The disruptors are continuing to come out here for Hero, but the Stalker count is so low. Nightmare now able to blink forward and one-shot these disruptors. The second Robo will get taken out. The Robotics Bay also should get sniped here at the triangle third of Hero.
I mean, the Army supply is so much bigger right now for Nightmare. I'm actually under the impression that he could snowball this.
I think he might win this game. 36 Stalkers right now to a meager number of Stalkers here on Hero's side. Hero has bled out too many units.
All right, Hero's going to find the Warp Prism. That's one little victory, but he's going to need to do a lot of work if he's going to come out on top here.
Being able to catch 2 disruptors.
Oh my God!
How?
How is this real?
I can't understand how those Stalkers get caught there. Hero once again using a significant chunk of his Army is now Nightmare. Although he is in a corner, he has a massive ball of Stalkers. With one more blink, they should be able to work their way out.
This is like the comeback of the century.
I can't believe what we're seeing. Hero went from a position that felt like it was unlosable, and Nightmare just, through pure tenacity, takes every advantage he could possibly get, and is just picking Hero apart bit by bit. 40 Stalkers!
I mean, this is unreal.
No disruptors on the field at all right now for Nightmare. It is pure Stalkers, 41 in total. He's on a 4-base economy. Blinking now forward.
God.
Disruptors are going down. There's no disruptors left on the field here for Hero.
He's going to continue to kite over here until the Zealots can get thinned out. War Prism joins the group. The Stalker count is absurd. You have to imagine there's a War Prism inbound here for Nightmare.
Absolutely crazy what we're seeing, and it seems like Nightmare, he thinks his ticket to success right now is just going to be the Blink Stalkers. He has 40 in total, doubling the count right now of Hero, but Hero with his Charge Zealots might be able to make something happen. The Warp Prism also rallied in.
Hero got so sloppy here at the end.
It feels like he might slowly be stabilizing now this front line of Charge Zealots as Nightmare is microing back, the supplies dead even. So I almost feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience watching this happen.
This is bizarre.
I have never seen Hero in any game I've casted or watched from him in IEMs and GSLs in any tournament bleed out so many units over and over and over again. It's Stalkers running into disruptor shots. It's Stalkers not blinking away from disruptor shots. It's him getting caught by his opponent's disruptors. It's him rallying Warp Prisms into his Army. And I mean, you could tell Nightmare, he's doing everything in his power right now. He's distance mining from what would be his 5th base because it is still so close. He's fighting tooth and nail, and now it's 161 supply to 160 Tasteless.
Worker counts are basically even. Hero does technically have a slightly bigger Army, but you know that with supplies this close, it could just come down to who has a better angle or better control. There are 2 disruptors that are going to be incorporated here with the rest of the Army.
A unit composition definitely more nuanced here for Nightmare. He comes in again with another big connection. The second disruptor shot at least is dodged, but so much supply went down. And Hero, I mean, he only has 1 Archon, 2 Immortals in total, compared to the 3 Archons right now of Nightmare. And Nightmare also with this disruptor coming in on the top side is going to try and find another connection. It is on cooldown. The Gateway Army here for Nightmare. Absolutely massive Disruptor Shot coming in. Will connect with the Zealots of Hero on the top side. It feels like Nightmare just might have more, but those Immortals doing so much work on the backline for Hero.
And, I mean, it does seem like he's starting to seesaw this action back over here. If he can come down and basically smash the two bottom bases, I think he can make this happen. This is an insane game.
Finally, the 5th base getting taken here for Nightmare as he has the resources in the bank to build a Nexus instead of distance mining. I mean, he has been fighting for his life for the past 10 minutes now. And really, the Stalker count for Nightmare has been the main force at his disposal. Still with a significant advantage in that regard, 30-19. Trying to catch Hero sleeping again. Hero this time he is looking, so he will be able to maneuver away. As this game is just complete chaos. I almost feel like I'm out of breath.
No, I know. I'm actually having a hard time processing this game. It's been a PvP like none I have ever casted in my whole career.
I think we're getting to a position again where Hero might be able to eke out an advantage. I mean, he's had more bases than his opponents, and one thing I would love to see right now is the units lost tab. I would love to see that so much. I mean, the Disruptor Shots have been so big for Nightmare so far in this game. And again, his army, it's more nuanced. It seems like Hero for the past couple of minutes has decided he's just not going to deal with Disruptors. He's going to go pure Gateway Man, a couple of Immortals, and play that game. And that can be very dangerous once these Blink Stalker counts and Disruptor counts get high.
Hero's going to come in here and try to squash the 12 o'clock base. He's going to recall his army. I think this means Hero has to recall away.
A recall coming in. Actually, no Disruptors in with this. It's actually just Stalkers, and Hero has more right here, especially with these Immortals and Nightmare with a very bad engagement.
What?
He's gonna
do it
on here at the 12 o'clock position, and Hero finally able to close it out. Oh my goodness. What a
game. Dude, Hero went from having it won to almost losing and then fighting back and ultimately getting that victory. Wow, GG.
That was
insane. I've never quite seen a game like that. And I mean, look, Hero had some great plays, but he had some really egregious blunders.
Yeah, that was insane. It felt like
there were like 7 or 8 Disruptor shots that killed off as much damage as is in the Disruptor shot, like that's available.
Yeah, it was
in the
max
radius
damage.
of the shot. Yeah.
Constantly, as Nightmare was just able to find. It feels like the miracle hit time and time again. And I mean, what a valiant effort there by Nightmare. You can really see that he is improved by strides here coming into Codes Season 2. So close to qualifying for top 8. Fantastic performance here in the final game, but curious to hear what our winner is going to say after that. I mean, my goodness.
It's crazy, man. We're going to go to that interview now. Let's see how Hero's feeling. He is going on to the round of 8 as the first non-Terran. Congratulations, Hero. You were almost eliminated, Hero. What a tough series you had to play in. How are you feeling? First of all, that was an exhausting match I played. I'm also aware that Nightmare, he's improved a whole lot. I could see that he plays a lot better under pressure now than before. Since I eliminated RagnaroK, who's a close friend, I have even more motivation now that I've beaten these great players to move forward and go deep. I thought in that final map, all of it looked like you had it, and then suddenly Nightmare was able to deflect everything you had. What was going on in your head in those moments? Yeah, sometimes whenever I think I've almost won the matchup, I think I get a little bit I play too hastily and try to close it out. So I was just like getting tunnel vision back there. And so I had to relax and kind of focus back in, and I was able to pull through.
우기가 이제는 공격 타이밍
Any moment you thought you were going to lose for sure there?
분열기가 없더라고요. 그래가지고 우기가 과감하게 했으면 아마
When Nightmare pushed into my base,
그 정도로 좀 위험한
and I realized I don't have any disruptors right now, I thought this is probably the scariest moment of the game for me.
이제 8강까지 올라가게 된
Because
상황인데
anybody who has more disruptors is going to have an edge in that moment.
이 조성주 선수 예측대로 이 두 명의 선수가 올라가게 됐습니다. 그리고 이제 프로토스로서 지금 김준호 선수 올라가게 됐는데
So Group B
또 어떤 각오로 임하실 건지 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
said, just like Mario had expected, that there was going to be some great games in there. You've made it to the quarterfinals. What are your determinations going forward? I think preparation for this round of 16 was, I can't say,
일단 집에 가서 생각을
in my entire pro gamer life, I put so much effort and prep into getting ready for today.
다음 경기에서는 좀 더 안정적인 모습 보여드리도록.
But you guys saw it. There was moments of sloppiness in my play, and I'm deeply disappointed with that. So I hope I can come back and be better.
일단은 저번에 스웨덴 가가지고
Any words to your
강타하는
fans?
바람에 팬분들의 아쉬움이 굉장히 컸을 것 같은데 이번 GSL에선 좋은 성적 거둬서
I know that in the past I lost early on in other events. I'm going to try to do very well this time around. All right. Please keep supporting me. All right. Well, that's going to be that, guys. ByuN and Hero move on. No Zergs in the round of 8 yet, although I'm sure we'll get some next week.
Yeah, nice to have some Protoss representation, especially good to see Hero advancing to the round of 8. As shaky as that last game was.
That was such a shaky game.
I mean, he is still one of the best Protoss players in the world, bar none. I think definitely the best Protoss player in Korea right now.
He seems to be, there seems to be a hump he's going to have to get over here, but I mean, that's normal. You know, we're all growing, we're all evolving, and sometimes you get kind of stuck in a certain mode, or you haven't quite, I don't know, adapted to the way these guys are playing. Hey man, Nightmare kind of stole the show tonight.
Yeah.
He played very, very well. You know, I think if he can iron out his other matchups, I think he's going to be a real threat coming forward here. Up next week on Tuesday, Dark, Special, Gumiho, and Creator.
Yeah, our first foreigner representation here in 2023 and Special, taking the new haircut too. I like that look. Very cool, and this should be a very fun group to watch.
I feel like we gotta have 8 Mile playing in the background when he's gonna come on stage.
Gumiho playing as well as ever, just absolutely on top of his game. Creator also always a pleasure to watch.
Yeah.
Special foreigner, I mean Dark just goes without saying, one of the best Zergs of all time.
Dark will advance, I think.
Yeah, no surprise there. It's a bold prediction here, Tasteless.
I'm very brave, you know. I'm really going out there and going against the grain of what everybody else thinks, but Dark will advance. I do hope Special gets deep. I would love to see Special win a GSL. That would be a real treat.
Phenomenal to have a foreigner win a GSL.
He doesn't win many terms. He gets deep. He plays very well, but he's not the guy you go to as like, is he going to be a champion? So fingers crossed for that. And I can't think of anything else to say. I mean, it's just been a great day. Good to have the audience back here. Good to be in the studio.
Yeah, day 1 and day 2, just fantastic games all around.
Yeah.
I mean, every single series from Group A, Group B have been spectacular. I'm sure we're going to have more of the same next week as we continue to work our way through the round of 16.
I think so. And if you need to get tickets, go there. Go to that link. You can buy them online. It's 8,000 won. That's like $6.
Yeah.
You're going to get hours of entertainment. Our tickets are not selling out. We do get a decent sized audience, but it doesn't sell out until usually the finals. So
yeah, but tickets, they go on sale tomorrow for next week. So
that's right.
Tomorrow, go ahead and book those tickets early if you want to get a good seat. And yeah, we'll see you guys. Make sure you stay after the show. Say hi to us.
Say hi to us.
Try
Yes.
to say hi to the players.
Yeah,
they're still hanging around.
Yes, you can reach. You can bring your mouse pad. Get your mouse pad signed.
Ooh,
you know?
yeah.
And excellent work today, State.
Oh, it was fun
great
games.
Cast. Really good games, man. This season's been actually incredible so far.
I feel like we're getting spoiled. You know, not only are we back in the studio, but also the games are so much better.
Yeah. We just got to hope that more Terrans lose, and it's going to be perfect. That's all the time we have, guys. We love you. We will see you on Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. KST. Goodbye.